Amen. Strict guardians of our heritage. Oh my goodness, firm craftsmen of our faith. Welcome to the MARCIA Week show. And I tell you, we're coming to you live from Barbados. The flag that I have in my hand, for those of you who are watching me from another country, this is the flag of Barbados. And you just heard the national anthem of Barbados. Isn't it wonderful? Awesome. And tonight we are excited tonight. We have an interesting topic. It says, more in the mortar than the pestle. So you see, I got this pestle in my hand, right? Monica Ince and Mildred Ben and Judy Gilks. But you don't know what I have in my mortar. You are going to have to guess. I want you to guess what is in my mortar tonight. I got a mortar here and I got a pestle. All right? And I'm working the pestle. What is it I have in my mortar? More in the mortar than the pestle. All right. So that is our topic tonight. And I'm just wanting to welcome everybody who's joined us tonight. Guys, before I even start to call the names and to welcome you all, I am going to ask you to like, share, and subscribe. All right. So, guys, tonight we have a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover. You know what we do on the MARCIA Week show? We are going to educate, we motivate, we mobilize, and we agitate. That's what happens on the MARCIA Week show. And I guarantee you that's what's going to happen tonight. More in the mortar than the pestle. Power, corruption, and public outcry. Tonight, we are going to delve into some waters tonight. We're going to ask some important questions. Anybody there with me tonight? Who is there with me? Mildred, you ready? You ready for class? Monica Ince, Judy Jukes, Mildred Ben, Lucinda Aline, Jefferson Sobers, Bajan Boy, Vernon Garnes, Teroni, good night. Chantel Williams, good night. Filthy Government. Uncle, good night. Uncle Dem Dem, Diana husband, Sam Igbo. Supreme Being, good night. How are you? Marva Hunt, Michael Jukes. Marcia, my namesake. Hi, Marcia. Matthew Brown, Matthew B. Matthew B in the house. Jacqueline Ward. VI, good evening, VI. How are you? Lori Bob. Shirley, good night. Sherry Berry, have you guys like and share, because I know once I start, you're not going to want to miss anything to be liking and sharing, you know. You want to stay focused on what it is I'm saying tonight, because I am telling you, oh my goodness, some nuggets gonna drop tonight, education dropping tonight, all kind of things dropping tonight. Shirley, Lori Bob, Marvin Allen, Mystic Angel, you share it. You got to share, guys. Listen, we've got to get this out. Marvin Allen, Joy and Faith, that's your job. That's what you do. That's how you help. Yeah. Flojo Maloney, Pauline Maynard, how are you, Pauline? Marcia again. I don't know if that's the same Marcia. Andrew Critchlow, the Margaret TV show. I know who that is. I have to give you a call back. I was busy researching. When you hear what I'm bringing tonight, you will see. Patrick Designs, Tammy, Jacqueline, Aline, yes, Shirley. Oh my goodness, Tammy, good night. Carol, Sandra Brewster, Bernice, Jordan, have you guys shared? Patrick Designs, did I call your name already? Celia Mason, Judith and Clark, how are you? How are you? Trusting all is well with you. Mavis Lashley, Abraham Millington, all the way there in cold Canada. Is it cold? Beverly Prescott, Chantel Williams, Alwyn Bob. Alwyn, I almost called you tonight. I said, no, I call you too much. No. Here's Harris. How are you? It's been a long time. You left Barbados and did not come to see me. Mavis Lashley, Sandra Brewster, Adrian Clark. Which Adrian Clark is that? Judy Jilks, Cynthia Thorpe. Oh my goodness, Patrice Green, M. Gardner. You know, somebody says to me, Marcia, you spend too much time greeting the people, but you know, it's about the people. It's about you guys. This is your show. And so I am happy that I'm on here and I'm by myself. So I do take the time, myself and Dr. Ferdinand, and we greet you all. And we just take a couple minutes. Come on, only 3 minutes I did that in. Bim lady, I still love to call your names and to make you feel welcome, because the show is about you. It's about me. We're family. And it's just nice to connect with you. So my apologies to those who say we take too much time calling names. You know, you can't please everybody. But tonight, folks, we are going down the road. We are going down the road tonight. And I want to just give you an outline of what we are talking about tonight. The first segment of our show, we're going to talk about polls. All right? We are going to talk about polls. Let me get my notes here. We're talking about polls, okay? And I want to talk to you about the Cadres polls. You know who does the Cadres polls? Let me see if you all know what's going on. Let me check my class. The reason I'm doing that is that today I went somewhere and I heard somebody knocking on the person's door. And it turns out he said, hello, may I help you? And it turns out that the person at the gate says, I am here with Cadres poll. And somebody else told me that Cadres is out there. Somebody in St. James South told me that they are out there doing polling, that Peter Wickham is doing polling, asking people what they think about the Prime Minister. Correct. Come to the front of the class. Come to the front of the class. Wow, Bajan boy. Pedro. You left an R off the man's name. I know what you're doing there, but that's not ER. Yes. So we're going to go into that because I want us to remember. Some of you already know these things, but I want you to have enough information that you can talk to the people at work. and those in your neighborhood, and you become foot soldiers. You begin to educate the people, because this time around, I tell you, they ain't fooling us. They're not fooling us. Then we're going to look into bounty and the government. Oops. We're going to look at bounty and the government. Is there is more in the MORTAR than the PESTLE? Bounty, Mr. Nigel Pinder, that there is, according to what we read in the newspaper, this is now a wanted man. We have to ask the government some questions. Government, what's in the MORTAR? We only see the PESTLE, but we want to know what is in the MORTAR. Okay? Anybody knows what's in my MORTAR? You only see the PESTLE, right? And I'm working. I'm sweating and I'm working. The government is working. What's in the MORTAR? So we're going to look at that as well tonight. And, you know, we have to talk about Ronnie. We have to talk about the announcer. We have to talk about Starcom. Because we're asking Starcom, what is in the MORTAR, Starcom? We see in the PESTLE, Starcom network, what is in the MORTAR? Then, I am sure some of you would have read that all of a sudden, something is wrong with Swan Street. People are plying their livelihood. You heard from Mr. Abeds what is happening with our nation, and all of a sudden, somebody goes to Swan Street and says it seems it's a fire hazard. We're going to talk about that and about our vendors on Swan Street. And we can't forget our nurses and the police officers and the prison officers. Listen, MORTAR, more in the MORTAR than this PESTLE you see here. Oh, yes. So we're going to look at these Cadres polls. What is in the MORTAR? What is it that this government is stirring up using Cadres polls? Is that what they're doing? Are they using Peter Wickham to start to work psychologically on the people of Barbados, preparing for this election that is coming? They are coming. And the person's house I was at run them. Said they're not talking to them. Hey, the person said, what, you believe you could come to my house with this foolishness? The person run them. But I want you to do more than that. I want you to educate. You're going to run them from your yard. Don't talk to them. The Cadres poll, they're coming. They were in St. James South, and they're now in St. James North. You hear what I tell you? Run them from your house. Don't throw anything at anybody. Just tell them, no. Send Peter Wickham packing. Yeah. So, are you sharing and liking? I'm getting warmed up. You're sharing and you're liking. I'm going to give you 1 minute to do that. If you've just joined us and you have not shared and you have not liked, we need what you're getting 1 minute to do that, please. It's too important. This is too important for us to not to keep it to ourselves, because they are seeking to do damage on the Bajan psyche, because they're getting ready for another 30 love. But we need to say absolutely not. We reject it. So let's look. I did a little research on polls, and specifically about the Cadres polls. And I want you to take a little notes. Take some notes. You can use the memo section of your phone, the notes section of it. So when you're going to work tomorrow, you can tell your workmate, yeah, and your friends, and in your WhatsApp group what they're trying to do to us. Huh? Cadres polls, is it public opinion or political weapon? Now, across the Caribbean, I found that the Cadres polls are often touted as the voice of the people. That's what I researched today. But the question is, are they really capturing public opinion? Or is it that they're being used as political tool to influence elections? Now we heard the allegations and the accusations from Dominica. Do you remember that? Don't tell me you forget already. Do you remember? You remember what the Dominican said. And you also remember what Marsha Myrie Hines said. These are political kingmakers, and they travel from island to island to make political kings. Just ask the one in Dominica and ask Frondel Stewart why he kicked them out. He kicked them from around the DLP because of wanting to manipulate. Some of these people want to manipulate the people in the Caribbean and to collect big money and become kingmakers. They've been in Barbados, Guyana, St. Lucia, Dominica. And because we're not sure what they're about, they raise the central questions. Are polls informing or manipulating? Are these polls informing us or they're manipulating? Who benefits? Let's talk about the Cadres polls. Okay. Now, this is online. And if you go online, you will see these things. I'm just reading what is online and asking questions of the Cadres polls. Are you informing Mr. Cadres polls? Mr. Peter Wickham, are your polls informing or are they manipulating the electors? In Dominica, in 2015, there's accusations, Mr. Peter Wickham, of bias between the pollster Wickham and journalists. I read a whole thing. Don't know if I have time enough tonight to go through that particular article where the journalist, I'll tell you, just summarize it a little bit, where the journalist was saying that the findings of the poll didn't seem too much in favor of the government, or who they are alleging that the pollster wants to win, and therefore those findings were not published. That's the accusation of the journalist from Dominica in 2015. In 2010, the Cadres was in Guyana. In 2010, Cadres was also accused of allegedly producing politically skewed results. It's on the internet. I read it in an article, sir, madam. Barbados 2012, there was some outcry about the Cadres findings, even Owen Arthur. Yes? You see, polls are often released at strategic times. Listen, polls are often released at strategic times. Before elections, right? After scandals. And if you notice the question that I was told, I spoke to somebody who is also doing the polling, and they said they are told to ask the people, what are your views about Mia Mottley as a leader? I'm paraphrasing. Why are they going out to ask the people those questions? That particular question. Are they worried? Polls before elections, after scandals, or during campaigns? What is it that is happening right now? Why is Cadres doing this poll? They are in St. James, y'all. It is important that you understand that polls have the power of shaping media narratives, because the media doesn't say, well, this is a poll. The media begins to to say what the poll is saying as though it is fact. And polls can be used to shape party momentum. Do you know that a party can pay a pollster to do a poll? And the results of the poll are manipulated so that that particular party could get a momentum going in the election. How polls can mislead? How polls can be conducted in a way that they mislead? One, they use small sample sizes. That's not representative of the whole nation. Cadres, your question tonight. The poll that you're conducting, one, who is paying for it? Number two, the sample size. What's the sample size? Sometimes they ask leading or biased questions. As the weeks go on, we're going to give examples of these. So tonight I'm introducing them. Leading or biased questions are asked. People who answer may not reflect the majority. Right? So the pollster can influence what the response is in the framing of the question. Then there's a non-response bias. And I'm just going through them tonight, where the people who answer may not reflect the majority. Non-response bias. Okay? Again, coming from possibly the small sample size. The timing of release. This is another way how polls can mislead. You drop the poll just before an election because you want the election to go a particular way. Selective reporting. So you might have polled on many different areas, the economy, social services, etc., but you only publicize the favorable results in favor of your client. Now, we're speaking generally. We don't know really if this is what Cadres is doing. But we're asking questions and we're educating the masses tonight. What is the psychological impact on voters? If the polls show one party leading strongly, what's going to happen? Supporters of the other side might stay home. You agree with that? Let me see the comment section. Yeah? Yeah? Folks, this is good information tonight. I'm telling you, free your mind from mental slavery. You hear what I tell you? This is education tonight. All right? I can't even get into this. I'm going to read those comments later because I want to hear what you're saying. But let me get back to my presentation because this is too important. So once again, and I want you to think about, all you've got to do is reflect on what has happened over the last 2 elections. Cadres comes out with a poll and says that it's going to be a landslide. What happened? The supporters of the other parties, the opposing parties, they stay home. They're discouraged. It's a psychological impact. And then if the polls suggest a tight race, parties may mobilize harder. I remember when Mr. Frundell Stewart, I'll go back to him. And many of you are going to realize what a wonderful Prime Minister Frondel Stewart was. The rest of the people in the Caribbean recognize that, except Barbadians. Isn't that interesting? But did you remember? I will never forget that. When this Peter Wickham was on the radio talking about, he's this landslide victory, and he had it where the BLP, his party, because Frondel had to chase his behind out of the DLP, all of them, run them out. Yes, he ran them out because they want to manipulate. The allegation is that they wanted to manipulate the Barbadian people, wanted Frondel, some of them, not necessarily Wickham, but the group of them. Let me just qualify what I'm saying. That particular group of people who believe they're kingmakers and walking around collecting dollars, enough money to make kings in the Caribbean. Frondel Stewart run them out because they wanted him to, guess what, do an election right after David Thompson died. The people were mourning. They said, do it now because the people are down. And the upright man that Frondel Stewart is, yes, I know some of you are gonna tell me, oh, but he was, nobody's perfect. But I'm telling you one thing they can't say about this man. Nobody can point a finger on Frondel and say to us, he stole this and he with integrity. This man full of integrity said, move yourself from here. I am not going to manipulate the people of Barbados because I think I'm going to win. He sent them packing. Yeah? And what they needed to have done in that poll when Frondel was vying for, when after David Thompson died and they had the election, if they reported properly, they would have seen that it was a tight race. But no, they reported the opposite and they were so embarrassed. And that's what I want you to do, Barbadians. Fool them, embarrass them. Because if the polls suggest a tight race, follow me now, the parties may mobilize harder. You agree? Because if it's neck and neck, people going to say, yes, yes, and they're going to mobilize. But if you show early, which is why my suggestion and my thinking and my belief and my opinion, I don't know as a fact, that the reason this poll is being done is to cement another 30-0. Because if they show that party leading, then the supporters of the other party might just stay home. The news outlets often repeat the poll results uncritically. Isn't that what happens? Because we don't even have any real media houses here. You know that. They amplify and repeat the poll results uncritically. They're not going to do what I'm doing here. They will not. They're going to just say, and the Cadres poll said, good. Polls are self-fulfilling prophecies. They create momentum for the winning side. Polls create momentum for the winning side. People, open your ears and eyes, right? And see. Now, the question is that we have to ask, what role do polls really play in a healthy democracy? Are they necessary in a healthy democracy? Can Cadres polls be trusted as independent surveys, or do they serve political ends? What do you think? Put it in the comment section. Do you think the Cadres polls are independent surveys, or do they serve political ends? Do you think there should be greater regulation or transparency in the polling methods? Do polls strengthen or weaken democracy in Barbados and the Caribbean? Do you think so? Because I told you of all the different Caribbean countries that are complaining, that complained about the Cadres polls. How do voters in Barbados and the wider Caribbean protect themselves from being manipulated? How are we going to protect ourselves from being manipulated? One of the things I want to do is ask the media houses that are watching tonight, please, when the polls come out, present it objectively, please. Present the results objectively. Polls should reflect the public opinion, not manufacture it. Polls should reflect public opinion, not to manufacture it. But too often in our region, in our country, polls appear as political weapons rather than neutral tools. So the question I want to leave with us tonight, are Cadres polls helping democracy or hurting it? Are Cadres polls helping democracy or hurting it? Don't know. What do you think? Comment section, please. And I hope when it's time for you to call in, that you are able to, you remember, write down the question you have or the comment you have about these polls. Yeah? And I want to read, let me read some of your comments. Yeah? Okay, somebody said check about the tale of two polls. Where is that comment, Alwyn? Owen Arthur. Owen Arthur, yes. I started reading that today. I didn't get time to finish reading it. Yeah? Yes? Okay, Patrick Design says that they're nothing more than manipulation tools. Filthy said Barbados need a wake-up call. And I think he's speaking proverbially, I hope, about an earthquake, not a real. There, I love how you say poll or polls. You're right. They look desperate. They look desperate. You see? And there are people, for some reason, they're going to be afraid to say what they want to say. Stephen Strickland. Hi, Stephen Strickland. Listen, we haven't had you on because we haven't been talking about the pensions. And so, listen, we need to have you back as soon as you have anything else to talk about, NIS pensions, all of that, retirement, anything like that. Please, please come right on. We'd love to hear you. He says, I remember when 2013 election, Cadres predicted the DLP would lose. I remember. And Mr. Stewart said, the measured man that he is, said, I will await the results on election day. There were other countries where the government changed. Right? I don't know what he's saying there. Sonny's asking who is paying the polling company and how much taxpayers put in the bill again. I don't know if it's a company or if it is the party or what. Yes. So folks, no, I don't agree with you. He was not a disaster. He was not a disaster. He was not. Nah, nobody's gonna nobody can fool me with that anymore. Go away with that. I've done too much research on my own to understand stuff, guys, and I don't believe that nonsense anymore. You can't come, nobody can come to me with that. Don't believe it. That's your opinion and you're entitled to it. So am I. And I've done my research. I hope others have done theirs and not following propaganda. Yeah. Yes. So folks, There you go. There you go. So all of this is going to be before the CARICOM people are brought in here to vote October 1st. There's so many things coming at us. We haven't even touched that yet. Yeah. All right. So that's it for the Cadres polls. All right. And again, I want you to be sharing. Now, what we're going to do right now in this segment, we're going to talk about bounty and the government. Right? Bounty and the government. You don't want to miss this. So start sharing now. Start sharing. Now, Dave, there is an Instagram. If you check on your WhatsApp, you'll see an Instagram post. No, let me do that, I think, at the end. So I'm going to tell you when I call for the when I'm going to call for those videos, that I'm waiting on us to share. I'm waiting on people to share. If you have not shared yet, please, in WhatsApp groups, it's important. We want to ask some important questions on your behalf tonight. And that's why we need you to be on. So it's bounty, and we're talking about Mr. Pinder. Now, a lot of you woke up this morning and yesterday morning to hear that we have a wanted man in our midst. The police is looking for Nigel Pinder. Wanted. It is being said this man is wanted. I'm not sure, because where he would be, because we know where in St. Philip here, we know where the man lives and where his business is. But it's our police service, and they are asking people that if they know his whereabouts. So we're putting it up on here. We're following what the police is saying, and they're looking for this man, right? And it reads, let me read a little bit here so we get some context, Dave, for those people who might not have heard this. And since yesterday, they've been on a manhunt. Well, I knew of it since yesterday, a manhunt for this man, which is very, very unusual, because, I mean, he has some friends in high places. So I'm wondering if they're trying to find him. Why is it they can't find him? Very interesting. But look at it. It said the Barbados Police Service is seeking the public's assistance in locating 48-year-old Nigel Pinder, alias Bounty or Cappy, who is wanted for questioning in connection with serious criminal matters. Serious? Wow. Police say he is considered armed and dangerous and should not be approached. Oh, it sounds like I'm watching a TV series. Ooh. Oh my goodness. It seems like we're watching a TV series here. Pinder, whose last known address is Coxhill Church Village, my mistake, St. Philip, is 6 feet 2 inches, a tall man in height, of brown complexion, and is slim built. Law enforcement officials are advising him to present himself to the Major Crime Unit at District F, Belplain Police Station, Horse Hill, St. Joseph, accompanied by an attorney at law. Oops. And it goes on to say the numbers there to call. And those of you, if you know and you want, you can take the screenshot of it. We are doing our public service here. Okay? All right. Now, so that's the backdrop. So you let me get my thing here, because I've spoken to, I've gotten a legal advice on this, but I've got I'm coming to I'm going to come to educate the people tonight and be the voice of the people tonight. You know that. You know that's what I'm going to do. You know it. We're going to wiggle our way through this, and we're going to do it. Tonight, loyal opposition, Barbados, we examine video footage. We're going to also look at a picture, and we're going to look at public reports that raise serious questions about the company kept by some of our national leaders. We want to be very clear. We're not making accusations. What we're doing is showing material already in circulation, highlighting what the public has observed, and asking the questions that must be answered. Let me repeat, because I know that we will have, as usual, I've been told that they sit and they watch the show waiting to catch me. So let's read again what it is that we're doing tonight. What we're doing, we are showing material already in circulation. Write that down, please. Highlighting what the public has observed with their two eyes, heard, and asking the questions that must be answered. Now, we have obtained a video. Actually, there are two videos. One with Nigel Pinder alone, but there is a video that shows Nigel Pinder along with others in the picture. We're going to look at that. And then we have a picture of the swearing in ceremony in Parliament in 2018, right? And then we have some online, we're going to look at some online discussion, media reports going back more than a decade that have raised allegations regarding Mr. Pinder. So let me see now, Dave, can you put on the screen for me? There is a video there, Dave, with about 4 persons in the video. Do you have that one at hand? Let's wait for Dave to put it up because we have to be very careful in what we're doing tonight. We're taking our time here. I want the viewers, remember we're in class, and you know how sometimes the teacher would put up a picture and said, what is this? And you're in kindergarten and you have to put up your hand and say, it's an apple. And then they put up another one and say, what is this? And they say, it's a cup. What is this? That's a cell phone, teacher. So we are going to watch this video and you're going to tell me if you see anybody in the video that you know. We're not putting it on the screen. You can put it in the comment section. Is there anybody in this video that you see? Dave, can you play the video for me, please? Thank you kindly.
General, man.
Forever,
Big lady, man.
Forever. Forever.
With us, St. John, man.
Right. Right.
One love boy type.
Right.
Pause it, Dave, and actually go over a little bit more, Dave, to the person. Go over a little so you can get more of the gentleman in the picture.
One love boy type.
Right.
Anybody recognize anybody in this picture, in this video? Yes, there is Bounty, right? So, well,
one love boy type.
Right.
Is that him in Dave, go back, the person who is left of the female, directly left of the female? Who is that?
One love boy type.
Ah, if we got a clearer picture, one would see. I'm wondering if the police is going over this footage. I don't know. I am wondering. I was watching it today. Yes, interesting stuff. Now, do you recognize a female in the video? I don't know who the other gentlemen are, but one look as though it could be Bounty. There is a female there, and the female there looks like our prime minister. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know what the event was, but I know that they said that she's the general. And then she gave a sign. It seems like a thumbs up. Was it a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Let's watch it again.
Forever.
Forever. With us, St. John, man.
They said, oh, salute, because they said the general, and she now, I don't know if this was when she was in the opposition or this was after the election. I don't know. But in this video, it appears. Oh, right there, Dave. Stop it. Stop it. Right there. That man looks like Bounty. In fact, it seemed like it was put up on his page. If Dave goes back, you see his name at the top. You see Bounty 11:05 p.m. You see that? Who sees that at the top of the video? Do you see the name at the top of the video where the man hand is like this? Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dave. Okay. All right. Now, I think it is very important because the police is asking us, the public, if we know anything, right? So I saw these videos and I just wanted us to go through them tonight because I don't understand. Now there is another picture, Dave. Before I said that there was a video and then there's a picture, right? Yes, there, Dave. There's a video, but I don't want that yet. I want that to be separate when I'm finished. What I have to read to make sure that I'm doing the right thing tonight. Now, ignore the writing on there. I was showing somebody this today, a young person, and they said, "Oh, is that person a pharmaceutical consultant?" Because it has there on that. But we're not focusing on the text. I want you to look at these gentlemen. And Dave, can you make it bigger, please? Let me get off this screen. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Now, you see anybody in this picture look familiar? Dave, let us look at it carefully, right? Look at these two gentlemen, not the women in the back. Look at these two gentlemen here. Nicely dressed. Nicely dressed. Now, Dave, show the picture that the police say is wanted. Can you show that picture, please? Okay, look at that picture. Take a look. Let's go back now to the picture. It would appear to me, the naked eye, that the man in the gray suit looks very much like Bounty, the man that is wanted. I wonder if the police is looking at these pictures. I saw them and I'm wondering. Now, can anybody guess where they're going? They're dressed. There are lots of people there. We can see like there's a line, there's a tent. Look at school. They tell you all the time to look very carefully at the pictures. Where they look, everybody look dressed up, right? It's a daytime event. Anybody out there? Where do you think this might be? If you know the area very good, you will see part of the street in the background there. Rising. Rising, I have to give you an award. Come to the front of the class, Parliament Building. And what did Judith and Clark say? The opening, and Dave is going to be very careful of what he puts up here on the screen, the opening of Parliament in 2018. Now, apart from just looking at the pictures and we were wondering who they were, how many of you were watching this show about 2 to 2.5 years ago when Caswell, when his work allowed him to be on the show? And Caswell Franklin gave you a very painful story that he wanted to invite his wife to Parliament when he was made a senator. He was so proud. And he said he wanted to, but he could not, because it was not an event where people could just come off the street and attend. They had to get an invitation. And he was told that they were out of invitations. All the invitations were gone. But he was very mad because when he looked, his account is that he saw people who the police was complaining that people, according to what was reported, people who the police was looking for. The police was saying they were shocked to see them sitting in Parliament. So this was at the 2018 opening of Parliament when the Mia Mottley administration got into power. So look carefully in their hands. What do you think would be in their hands right now? What do you think they have in their hands right there? Anybody? What do you think he might have? Oh, he's showing something there to whoever is taking the picture. They're very proud of this. What do you think they're showing there? Possibly, we can't see clearly, but possibly invitations. Possibly invitations, possibly. Now, the big question is, how did they get these? How did they get it? Again, I believe that the great police service that we have, they would be looking at all of these things. I'm not into investigation. So I am not in a position to, I'm just hoping, I don't know, that if this would be something that the police would be interested in. Yes? Okay. All right. Now, I want you to keep these two things. So you saw one where it seemed as though it either was when our prime minister was in opposition or when she had just won. Somebody said when she was just won. I cannot say what this event was, but we see Mr. Pinder right there, Bounty Cappy, who is someone who we believe that's him based on what the police has put out. But then it's the police is going to be able to know. But we can definitely identify our beautiful prime minister in the middle there, right? We don't know anybody else. We know about the two in there. Others of you might know, but we don't know. But we know who this lady is and we know who that man is. All right? Important. We got to establish that. Right? So as I said, we obtained those two videos, a video and a picture showing Nigel Pinder, always known as Bounty, alongside what appears to be the Prime Minister, one at the swearing-in ceremony in Parliament and another at a social event where he's seen giving accolades. General. I don't know if he's saying general of what. Is it of the country? Could be. At the same time, media reports and online discussions going back more than a decade have raised allegations regarding Mr. Pinder. I want you to take in your little notebook, I write decade. When decade mean 10 years, not true? All right. And they went to Parliament in 2018. I like numbers, Just write down the word decade for me and just start to calculate. Go back for me, okay? What we do not yet know is this. Finish writing? What we do not yet know is this: did the Prime Minister or her office have knowledge of these allegations when these appearances occurred? Remember, I said there are online discussions and media reports going back more than a decade of allegations raised against Mr. Bounty, Pinder, Cappy. But do you think we want to know, did the Prime Minister or her office, because you can't just put everything on the Prime Minister, did the Prime Minister or her office have knowledge of these allegations when these appearances occurred before they sent the invitation? Because there's no way, if Caswell Franklin could not, who was a senator, who belonged in the parliament, could not get a ticket, then the big question is, how did he get it? And what the office, did they know? Or did the Prime Minister even know they were there? You think the Prime Minister knew they were there? I don't know. Was Mr. Pinder invited into Parliament in an official capacity? Those are some questions we want to ask. And what safeguards are in place to ensure that individuals facing serious public allegations do not enjoy special access to our nation's leaders? Is that a question you would want answered? What safeguards are in place to ensure that individuals facing serious public allegations do not enjoy special access to our nation's leaders? Because one would imagine, if the Prime Minister remembered this, because she might not even remember it, she might not remember that she was with them at a social event or that they were at the Parliament. I don't know. But can you imagine when if she could remember it, how uncomfortable this bulletin that went out this morning could possibly make the Prime Minister feel? I mean, because if you're an upright person, and then to know that there was somebody with that they're saying is harm and deadly, and they're looking for them, and then to find out there were reports more than a decade before 2018. Wow. I wonder if she remembers how uncomfortable she could possibly be. Would that make you uncomfortable? If you got up this morning and see that the police looking for, I wonder if that could be. I don't know. I am just using my imagination and asking a question based on the pictures that we saw with her. You know, she was doing like this when they said general, right? And we saw them and they were showing it to the media to make sure they see, I got it. I got my ticket. Now, I want us to look quickly at a comparative example in the country where I was born. And you will see why this is of interest to me. And I hope it's of interest to the government of Barbados, who loves this country so much. We sang the national anthem of this country. I've grown to love Barbados. So let's look at Jamaica. There once upon a time, there was a man called Dudus. May the class say Dudus. Everybody say Dudus. If you even have your children in your house, everybody say Dudus. D-U-D-U-S. I don't know what it means. But that was his name. Just like how you have Bounty, that was his nickname. Because in Jamaica, everybody have a nickname, especially a bad man. So You have Bounty and you have Cappy and Jamaica. You understand? And now the Doodles. Although these are allegations against Mr. Bounty because he's still out there at large, according to the reports that we saw in the newspaper on our radio this morning. They wake us up bright and early with it on Starcom. So Doodles and Jamaica, we're going to look at that class. Now, this is not the first time the Caribbean has faced questions about politics and criminal associations. All right? In Jamaica, the case of Christopher Doodles Coke and the Tivoli Gardens stronghold shook the entire country. You ever heard of Tivoli Gardens? Mm-hmm. The then government, led by Bruce Golding, came under fire for its handling of the extradition request by the US and for the perception that criminal elements had been given protection at the highest levels. Now, while it's not the same, I'm not saying it's the same, but I'm asking you to consider this case in Jamaica. The result, Barbados, was very tragic. A military operation in 2010 that left more than 70 civilians dead and lasting scars on Jamaica's democracy. While Barbados' situation is not the same, so if you're listening in the government, I did not say it's the same because I don't know. Bruce Golding is not Mayor Motley. I'm not here trying to say that. So while Barbados' situation is not the same, the Doodles affair is a sobering reminder of what happens when political leaders are seen to be too close to individuals facing serious allegations. It damages trust, destabilizes societies, and can even lead to bloodshed. These lessons from Jamaica should not be ignored. You think they should be ignored? Do you think that these are things that we need to study? The lessons from Jamaica, even though it's not the same situation. Should these lessons from Jamaica be ignored or should we study them? Now, what I want to say is that today we wrote a letter to the Prime Minister's office. It will be going out to the Prime Minister's office and to the Royal Barbados Police Force asking for a comment on this situation. And I want to say we will share any responses we receive in full. But before I will ask Dave when to put the letter up. But that is going to go out tomorrow to the Prime Minister's office and to the Commissioner of Police. So just want to ask some questions. You see, what is important to us? And what we need to continue to do is to ask some very important questions. Who has access to our leaders? And at what cost to public trust? And before I give you a quick timeline of the public records of Nigel Pinder, I want to hasten to say to all political parties that you too will be under our microscope, the public's microscope. We are going to want to know what is in the MORTAR. We've seen the PESTLE, all political parties. We want to know what is in the MORTAR. All. Tomorrow we write to the Prime Minister's office, the Prime Minister's office, and to the police commissioner, to all political parties. We are watching because it is important for us to understand who has access to our leaders and at what cost to public trust. And we will use this platform to call out every single one of you, regardless of the party. Let's quickly look at a timeline here before Ms. McCLEAN comes on. In 2010, write for me, please. You know, I like for you to write or type in your phone. Online blogs and public forums discuss allegations involve Mr. Pinder. It's there. Go search for it. 2010. 2010. 8 years before 2018. 2012 to 2015, there are some other discussions on social media platforms and online platforms continue. So they've been continued. 2010, and then you have 2012 to 2015. In 2018, you know what happened? You're a bright class. What happened in 2018? Pinder attends, Bounty Cappy attends the Prime Minister's swearing-in ceremony in Parliament. And we showed you video. We showed you what we think is evidence of it, which is a picture. And I've seen, in earlier days, I've seen video evidence as well, which I didn't have today, but I had a picture. And now let's come to 2024, 2025. At the end of 2024, we started to hear rumblings about Bounty in the media. And now in 2025, police advisories now list Nigel Pinder as wanted and armed and dangerous. Did you write down that timeline? Oh, do we have good students? I needed to write down the timeline. You know what happened in 2010? Online blogs and public forums discussing allegations, because everything, all of these are allegations, okay? 2012 to 2015, discussions continued now on some social media platforms, right? They continued. 2018, we know what happened. We've seen Mr. Pinder right there at the swearing-in ceremony in Parliament. 2024 to 2025, now the police is giving advisories and list Nigel Pinder as wanted and armed and dangerous. I want to ask the public, do you know anything more about these events? Or do you have footage that can help to verify the truth? We would like to hear from you, and I know the police would like to hear from you too. What are we trying to verify? Nothing about Mr. Pinder's, his allegations, because we're not the police, but we're part of the citizenry, and we want to know. You remember the question that we want to know? What's the question? Who has access to our leaders and at what cost to public trust? This is about accountability, transparency, and making sure Barbadians get the full story. Dave, if you could put up the letter. Tonight, we showed material already in circulation, highlighting what the public has observed and are asking questions that must be answered. This is the open letter. This is the open letter that is going to be sent to the Prime Minister's office and the Commissioner of Police. questions regarding public association with Mr. Nigel Pinder, aka Bounty. Madam Prime Minister, Commissioner of Police, the people of Barbados deserve leaders whose integrity is beyond question and institutions that operate transparently and without undue influence. Recent public attention surrounding Mr. Nigel Pinder, also known as Bounty, has raised questions about access, proximity, and oversight that require clear answers. In 2018, Mr. Pinder was seen attending the swearing in of this government inside Parliament. He has also appeared publicly in available footage with the Prime Minister present, during which he referred to her as the General. These interactions have prompted questions among citizens about the nature and context of such engagements, because we don't know what the context is. Media reports and public discussions have associated Mr. Pinder with alleged criminal activity in Barbados. While these reports are publicly available, the facts surrounding any official investigations, outcomes, or state interactions remain unclear. As concerned citizens, we seek clarification on the following questions to be answered. Has Mr. Nigel Pinder ever been the subject of investigation by law enforcement in Barbados or intentionally prior to 2018 when he was seen attending the swearing in of the Prime Minister and this government in Parliament? What is the exact nature of the relationship, if any, between the state and Mr. Nigel Pinder? Has Mr. Pinder ever benefited from state contracts, special privileges, or political protection that could compromise the integrity of public institutions? What measures are in place to ensure that individuals with public influence cannot operate beyond the reach of the law? When can the public expect a clear, transparent statement addressing these concerns? The public has a right to understand whether its leadership and institutions are uncompromised. Trust in governance is fundamental, and providing transparent answers strengthens both accountability and public confidence. Barbados deserves clarity, accountability, and leadership beyond reproach. History shows that unchecked public suspicion can erode faith in institutions. We respectfully urge the government and the Commissioner of Police to respond promptly. Okay? All right. So that letter, we are getting it ready to go out tomorrow. Okay? All right. Wonderful. Yes. So that is a segment on this bounty and the government. And the question is a question. Strange bedfellows? We don't know. We don't know. So we talked about Cadres polls and we talk about bounty and the government. Miss McCLEAN is here and I've gone way over on our time. But we did discuss that, you know, she knows I'm going to give her back the time, but I wanted to take the time. Yeah. All right. So here we go, Miss McCLEAN.
Hello, how are you?
Good night.
Yes. Good night. These are some serious and seriously sad times. Let me put it that way. I've been listening to you and reflecting on all that you've been saying and all that I am seeing circulating. And it really is, for me, on many fronts, a serious cause for concern. I as you know, I would have been part of the political space. Well, I don't like to use those buzzwords that people use nowadays. Part of the political system. I still am, even though I'm now retired and you know, the government has changed and all of that. But you are touching on something which, to my mind, must be discussed. And must be discussed in a way that engages Barbadians to appreciate the dangers of what I call the dalliance or the alliances, the associations, as you said, you know, strange bedfellows. Because from the time Parliament opened in 2018, we saw those images circulating. And this is a small country. And so you get to hear, I mean, very early I heard of the consternation of members of at the time it would have been the Royal Barbados Police Force, Barbados Police Service as it is now post 2021.
Yes.
Because the opening of Parliament is for want of a better word, a signature event in the political calendar of this country. As a senator, I mean, and I remember very clearly Caswell speaking about this on this program.
Yes, ma'am.
As a senator who is single, unlike some things that I see circulating, calling me somebody's wife, I was not entitled to invite anybody, certainly not a partner. You had to be married to get an invitation for your spouse. I remember they told me historically there were a couple exceptions made, because in the case of that senator prior to us going into office, the person, according to the law, the person's partner, they were involved for so long that would have been treated as a common law spouse or whatever. So apart from the fact that officials of Parliament, members of Parliament, because that is what Senator Franklin would have been, members of Parliament would not have been able to go. You had individuals known to the police. This was not speculation. These are people who were known to the police. I mean, we hear of people's escapades, we know of people's records and all kinds of things. And to my mind, that was, I would describe it as an escalation of relationships. It was almost as though the persons who invited him, because in other words, you couldn't just get an invitation and so on. That had to be part of, that had to come from very high up. Let me put it that way.
Yes.
And that therefore was a situation where, to me, the person or persons who agreed or who issued that invitation, because the organizers can only follow instructions, it was essentially thumbing the nose at Bajans and saying, this is how I gonna do it. But the question I would ask is, how dangerous is that? And I would say it's very dangerous. And before I actually, this, in talking to you about today's program, it sent me back to some research I was doing, because let me say that, as you recall, I would have been a member of the DLP's Commission on Crime. And in the work that we were doing, yes, this was one of the areas. There were so many areas that we wanted to cover. I was responsible for doing research on white collar crime and corporate crime. And so in looking at that, I also took the time to look at what would have been described as political criminal alliances. And I sent this today because I want to quickly just pull out a couple things to say to Barbadians that in exercising or expressing concern about relationships in 166 square mile island, this is not an exaggeration of in terms or alarmist behavior. We have, as citizens, to be concerned where we believe that such alliances exist. And we hear of the allegations. And before I read a couple extracts from this is a paper that I would have been reading as I did some of that research. And it says, a brief review of the institutional impact of political criminal alliances in search of a suitable theoretical framework. But this is some research done by some people in the university in Australia, and persons collaborating and writing. But let me share a couple of the allegations and the stories that we heard. 2018 election, there were allegations of the unknown criminal, because the person has been incarcerated, would have been seen daily in the campaign office of a member of parliament in the north. And that person, and Barbados is small, so I can say, the criminal is related to an in-law of mine. There's Barbados, a brilliant man who obviously put his brilliance to evil things, But the allegation was that this person was very much involved in the process of getting people to vote, the allegation was that there was intimidation. Let me put it like that. Allegations. And when I go through a couple of paragraphs that I extracted from this article, you would understand why it is a concern, especially in small place. So there are allegations of involvement in the election campaign in a way that had never been seen before. That was the description I got.
Yes.
We also know of what was reported in relation during COVID in Deacon's Road, where somebody said that they had the Prime Minister, the allegation was that they had the Prime Minister on speed dial. And if you pick up the phone, according to what was alleged, the police were given instructions. What is the consequence of that? You are diminishing the authority of the police. So my concern, therefore, is that when you get, if such alliances, and I use the term that is used in the article, a political criminal alliance. If such alliances exist, there are serious actual and potential consequences for a country, especially when it's small like this. We can look around South and Central America, look at places like Colombia. You mentioned Dodos Coke in Jamaica. I have an article here which is called Garrison Communities as Counter Societies, the case of the 1998 Zeke's riot in Jamaica. And then you mentioned that. So my worry is that when these things happen and you introduce I will use the word criminal elements into what is supposed to be public business, in this case, political matters, electioneering, and so on, you run the risk of what I would call letting loose on the community forces that you cannot pull back. I saw that clip over and over. People send it over and over again. You Barbadians, good and bad, you have to interact with them.
Yes.
But I would say to the Prime Minister of Barbados, for you to associate with people and take a salute and somebody call you the general and you think that that is cool. No, it's not cool. Because you are legitimizing those people. You are sending messages to our children. We talk about a ZR culture and bad behavior and so on. But think about it, a youngster who lives in a community where certain individuals are known and their parents are saying to them, I don't want you to be like John Brown or Mary Smith here because they are doing things that are wrong. But then little Jane or Joe sees that and says, but mommy or daddy, why you see the Prime Minister of Barbados smiling up and hugging up and taking salute and accepting the title general? And that is, so if the Prime Minister is doing that, why can't I aspire to be like that? I want to be close to the Prime Minister of Barbados too. You know, and this is not trivia. This is serious. This is serious. You know, this is serious. I am not saying, I grew up in Black Rock, where I grew up close to the good, the bad, and the indifferent. I always spoke to people, but you know what? There was a respect that was extended, you know, but there was no crossing of certain lines. That's the way I would describe it. So what are the consequences of this? And I want Dave, I will rather than talk about the consequences from a Bajan perspective, Dave put back up the article. Let me read the first part of the abstract for this article so people understand that when MARCIA and I sit down here to express concern, it is not concern out of, you know, exaggerating the situation. As I said, this is an article, it's a 2019 article, a brief review of the institutional impact of political criminal alliances in search of a suitable theoretical framework. And the abstract reads as follows: criminal organizations, and I would also say individuals,
Yes.
are capable to make, well, the person was not an English speaker, but I decided I'm just reading it as it comes from the article, are capable to make political connections with public servants at different levels. And I would hazard a guess to say that the political directorate, which means your cabinet, your parliamentary group, your opposition, and whoever, these are, to my mind, once you're elected member of parliament, you're a public servant because you're there to serve our interests. So there's the career civil servant, and then I call it the broader public servant. This article provides a review of the literature on the power of the political criminal alliances, and this is important, to affect the democratic institutions of the state. It also seeks to provide a theoretical framework appropriate to evaluate the impact level that the partnering between criminals and public servants has on the state scaffolding. And it goes on to say the academic work by some experts in criminology have examined the different political impacts such alliances imply, which includes problems associated with the decay of the criminal judicial system and the creation of impunity umbrellas. Let me break this down in some simple words, starting at the bottom. The creation of impunity umbrellas. Remember the call where a police is saying to you, you're breaking the law, and the person is big and bold, say, well, I don't mind you, officer. I can speed dial the head honcho. That's about creating an impunity umbrella. So in other words, I am protected by my connection. You understand? I am protected by my connection. And then, which includes problems associated with the decay of the criminal judicial system. What happens when, the judicial system is supposed to be independent, but at the same time, a judge or a magistrate
preemptively.
The person dealing with the matter was just presiding over, I think that's the word.
Okay.
Presiding over a particular case. He or she is not totally oblivious to the goings on when you get these entanglements and these alliances, and so these are things that can create a problem. And then, of course, you in your letter, and I am hearing about it for the first time and listening to the content, but you asked an important question. Has the individual in particular, and I know that the police bulletin has identified Bounty, as his nickname is, as armed and dangerous.
Yes.
Armed and dangerous. I will say no more on that, but except to say that is how the police have described him, and that therefore is or should be a concern for every one of us. But there are other things that run through my mind, but I'll leave them in my mind for now.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, back to the question that you asked, has this individual been the beneficiary of any, I would say, contracts, business activity, jobs, whatever? Has Mr. Pinder ever benefited from state contracts, special privileges, or political protection that could compromise the integrity of public institutions? Now, I had no conversation with you other than to say this is what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to some articles I was reading, which is essentially, you are essentially zooming in on what I said there, that these kind of connections have the potential of creating, and I like the term in the article, impunity umbrellas. It has the potential of causing our judicial system to be negatively impacted. It has the potential for impacting negatively on our public institutions, and I dare say our private institutions as well.
Yes.
Because a lot of private companies in Barbados exist on the basis of government contracts. So my worry is that when we look at these things, those alliances, and it is not in a relationship of criminal lawyer and criminal or accused. This is people socializing and relishing in being labeled general, you know, and establishing that these people seem to have priority over other citizens. And I wouldn't even say ordinary citizens in the case of an invitation, because ordinary citizens by and large don't get invitations, maybe a handful to state events of that of the type of opening of parliament. Who you have in parliament are diplomats, head of state, the judiciary, the what you call it now, privy council, the local privy council, and all kinds of things. In other words, as the young people say, all the big ups and the high and mighty and so on. So for me, Marcia, and I think that if Dave, I will read another section of this, because I think if it goes on the article, I just filled out a couple of paragraphs, the political scope of organized crime, because you see, a criminal enterprise or organized crime, we hear about gangs in Barbados, and therefore, if there are gangs and the police service, we have heard that reference. So I consider the extent to which gangs are organized and established that we have organized crime. And we also have heard, and I mean, there are several allegations. I have happened to sit in places where concerns would have been expressed about not only domestic organized crime, but crimes that extend across the borders of individual jurisdictions within the region and so on. So a criminal enterprise or organized crime can be defined as a group of individuals that operate outside the law and engage in criminal activity. So that's a simple definition. So the reality is that we have these things happening. And so in essence, we almost can anticipate and extrapolate from what we see, that by associating with certain individuals, certain members, and in this case, I will ask the question of the Prime Minister, having reflected on those photographs that people have been circulating over and over again, do you think that you are in fact finding yourself engaging or fraternizing with, socializing with beyond what I would consider the essentials of a politician engaging with citizens? Do you think that you find that you have been fraternizing with members of some organized criminal groups? You know, and I will read, having asked, I would go on and read the question. Criminologists are aware of the continuous manifestation of political criminal alliances around the world, in which criminals co-opt domestic public officials. Now, this is in relation to the study, but I'll just read it as it is. However, there has been a lack of attention by criminologists to the political strategies of criminal organizations that account for high levels of criminal violence. So we haven't had a chance to study this phenomenon in Barbados or the region in a way that perhaps we need to. But these things, and it's also not easy to study, let me put it that way. One researcher, Godson, noted that criminal organizations have the potential, and this is important to note, within the context of Barbados and CARICOM and its proximity to South and Central America, etc. He noted that criminal organizations have the potential to operate and exert political influence across borders. The causes, for example, criminals being willing to give money to politicians in exchange for protection from law enforcement, and challenges, for example, the difficulty of conducting official investigations due to bribery of public officials, of domestic and transnational political criminal alliances are widely acknowledged in the literature. Captured in this paragraph is the fact, what I'm really highlighting is that as we think about this, we have to think beyond the situation of an individual.
Yes.
But of a situation where people, whether they are members of the political directorate, in other words, members of parliament or cabinet, or members of civil, what we call civil servants, and even members in the private sector, getting caught up in situations where any of these things can happen. And the consequences is that you get what I suspect may be some of what we see in runaway crime and violence. You know, so when we look at these things, this is not any kind of nonsensical, alarmist thing that you and I here engaging in. We are saying to Barbadians, and I want quickly to go through the last two slides I have, and then I would conclude, MARCIA, in terms of my concerns about the issues for politicians. So the one paragraph says, page 4, it says conclusions. For some time now, scholars have acknowledged the existence and significance of political criminal alliances. And we in Barbados and the Caribbean are being confronted daily with the possibility of these things and the consequences and potential consequences of this. This work also notes the tremendous and potentially dangerous consequences, which is what I just said, of political criminal alliances, including threats to political, financial, and social orderings. Political criminal alliances can, and most commonly are, domestic, where criminal groups collaborate with public officials within the confines of a particular country or territory. Increasingly, however, and this is something for us in CARICOM to think about, increasingly, however, political criminal alliances can also be transnational when such groups connect across borders with public officials extraterritorially. And the last one says, the reasons why such alliances take place are various. Collaboration among criminals and politicians brings benefits to both parties. When criminals collaborate with the political world, it can bring protection against law enforcement and from competing criminals. Let me read that again. When criminals collaborate with the political world, it can bring protection against law enforcement and from competing criminals. They also can gain access to information from the police and intelligence and military agencies to help defeat their adversaries. Political elites collaborate primarily to obtain money for personal or political purposes. Criminals also can provide money laundering opportunities for politicians, as well as other favors, such as providing intelligence on political rivals and contribute to winning elections by securing votes in particular regions. Now, MARCIA, I will, that's what I wanted to share. I pulled it out. The article is there. Anybody can Google the title and they can read the entire document. I actually did, as I said, I pulled these out because I think at the end of the day, it is something that was attracted my attention as I was doing the work, as I said, as part of the Commission on Crime. And I thought it relevant to share that. But I also want to end by sounding a caution, MARCIA. And I bring it now away from the individual to what I consider to be a criminal act on the part of politicians. And I remember, I will use an example. I remember one morning, I broke my rule because I tell people when to see me at the beach, they don't come and talk to me about politics. But a hardcore supporter of my party, a gentleman who grew up in me from my childhood in Black Rock, was talking to me and complaining that we in the Democratic Labour Party need to understand that you have to have money to win an election. And he and I had a long argument. And it is not only a philosophical, for me, it's a moral argument. And I said to him, we have as a country to stop that. Because at the end of the day, I said to him, from a strict numbers and forget the ethical and so on, it will be hard for the DLP, as I was talking to him about our party, he being a member, to even be able to raise the kind of funds that we see spent.
Yes.
by the Barbados Labour Party, especially in the last 3 elections. I said, outside of that, that is not my concern. My position is this. We have, as a party and as a political system, or I should say as parties, because I believe it should be a stance taken by all, that we have to stop this nonsense of buying people's votes. Because at the end of the day, it is morally wrong. It is to my mind disrespecting the very people that you pay and saying to that person you are of absolutely no value. Maybe $300 to what is that? And so I really think that, and these things can escalate into a whole set of other things. And I think the time has come when we look at the exponential surge in crime around this country to take stock of how these things are connected. There are not disparate things happening. These are very connected things. We are sending the wrong messages. A lot of us become very hypocritical. And so, I mean, I won't refer to politicians, but Barbados is small. You know, we can on the wrong hand be saying that we are God's children, and then we go during the Sunday, and then we go on an election day and sit and tell the world now what you see is not what you saw, but you are out there facilitating the payment of money and all kinds of things. My personal position is, I mean, I never was interested in elective politics, and that was known to the gentleman who asked me in the first instance, Mr. David Thompson, may he rest in peace. But I told him I was not interested, but I would say to anybody, if that was what I had to do to win a seat, keep your seat. And I say that from my heart and with all sincerity, and the person who knows my heart and my head as to what I try to tell is the Lord. And I say, I would have to lose because I do not subscribe to that. And I think it is time that Barbadians take stock as individuals, that a $500, $300 of whatever it is they give you will only serve very literally moments. And what you are doing is diminishing your self-worth, your decency and everything. And I think that we have, as a country, and it will not happen by rules, laws, you can pass laws and whatever. It has to come from you looking at your moral compass and saying, this is not who I am.
Yes.
And I will never be that person. Because we are seeing, Marcy, I am very serious, the consequences of this. And it is destroying people. And the people who do it and then walk around and wipe their faces and say, all kinds of things when people criticize it. Check yourselves. If somebody is prepared, if you are prepared to say it, and I'm going to get very graphic now and crass. If you say to an 80-year-old young woman, I am going to give you $300 to vote, you are essentially telling yourself, if you don't have money, you can go up on Bush Hill and sell yourself. Think about it. Think about it, and I get in real. Because if I can sell my vote, because I figure I can do with the money, I can consider, because you've sold yourself, all you will be doing as a young woman then is selling another part of your body.
Yeah.
Because you sell your pen, and your head or whatever it is when you go to make the choice. And I really think that we are at a place in Barbados where, as a country, we have to individually and collectively take stock. We are on a slippery slope, and it is sad, Marcia. And if we don't pull back now, and I say this to the Prime Minister of Barbados, whose name is people are asking of her questions in the context of all the videos and pictures and whatever going around. come to the people and tell them, I am committed in the same way that I go there and fight and argue for climate change and small island developing states, come and tell people I will fight for the integrity of the people and of the political system, and that I will not participate in vulgar wastage of money in the way that we have seen these things escalate in this country.
Yes, very well said. I mean, I didn't even know that document existed, and I want to highlight that the document from which Ms. McCLEAN shared tonight is an international study. And I think that we need to take it very seriously. Those of you you're watching the show, this is something that you can put on again another day and just listen to it again, because it is what she shared tonight. Very, very important. As I said, it's an international study and we should take it very seriously. All right. Now, Ms. McCLEAN, somebody was asking, what does it mean to be armed and dangerous? And so I'm just going to read something on that. And I'm going to ask Dave, there's a third video, Dave, with just what appears to be bounty alone in that video. I think you should have that. If you can get that ready for me, please. Armed and dangerous, what it really means is the police have credible reason to believe the individual may have a weapon, firearm, a knife, etc. A weapon. We don't know what kind of weapon.
Or weapons, yeah.
Right, weapon or weapons, yes. It also means they may pose a serious threat to public safety if approached, because there's a reason they would tell you armed and then they put dangerous, right? If it signals to the public and to officers, do not attempt to apprehend this person yourself. So you remember Section 68? That could never work here, and never should it work. All right? No Section 68. Go and try to apprehend anybody. You get me? All right. So to the person who was asking what it means, that is generally what it means. Okay, Dave has a video here, and I am trying to, let me check my phone before I play the video. I'm trying to ascertain when this video give me a second. I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I just want to know that I'm saying the right things.
Okay.
And then there is something I am trying to ascertain.
Whether this is a new video,
right? I don't know. Folks, I've been trying to find out from morning if this is new or if it's old. I have not been able to find out as yet. Those of you who know, you've been sending me things. I've been asking if you have the information, please send it. So I will just say that this appears to be a video from Mr. Pinder, the one who is wanted by the police. And this is what he's saying. Let's try if we can figure out what he's actually saying here. We might have to listen to it a couple times. Go ahead, Dave.
I blame me wrongfully, you know, but my back broad, look at it, look, broad, it's like so I can take all the blame. But you see me? Life live on, you see me? I want to say something that I don't want to say, right? Because you see me, I feel like foolish, you know, but the team up and want to plan for me whole thing. You see me, but I still here. Yeah, I want some words, man. I've been singing me too, I think me too cruel, but I want to talk it out, you know?
Play it again for me,
I
Dave.
blame me wrongfully, you know, but my back broad, look at it, look, broad, it's like so I can take all the blame. But you see me? Life live on, you see me? I want to say something that I don't want to say, right? Because you see me, I feel like foolish, you know, but the team up and want to plan for me whole thing. You see me, but I still here. Yeah, I want some words, man. I've been singing me too, I think me too cruel, but I want to talk it out, you know?
I'm just leaving that there. Just leaving that there. Did anybody hear what he was saying?
He says he want to talk out something, but he can't. In other words, he has something on his chest. He wants to get it off his chest, but you see, and the team, what he said, they're teaming up on me. They think I'm foolish, something to that effect.
Yes, they're teaming up on me. Who is the they? What is he saying? We don't know. I just put it there. Dave, play it one more time. I won't talk. Play it one more time. No? It's gone? It's gone. Okay. He said his back is broad.
And he wants to say it, but he hesitating to say whatever is on his mind. And people think he's foolish, but he ain't.
Yeah, and
You know, it is. The other thing is, Marcia, that I want for our children. Okay, Dave has it again. Go ahead.
Blame me wrongfully, but my back broad, look at it, look, broad, it's like so I can take all the blame. But you see me? Life live on, you see me? I want to say something that I don't want to say, right? Because you see me, the feel like foolish, but the team up and want to plan for me whole thing. You see me, but I still here. Yeah, I want some words, man. I think me too cruel, but I want to talk it out,
Okay. All right. So that is out there. I want to say, guys, let us be praying for Barbados. Let us be praying for Barbados. Right in my phone here, Miss. Well, after this, I'm going to say a prayer that I saw you posted, Miss McCLEAN, because we need to pray. We need to pray for our wonderful country. We need to pray for our leaders. And I know we have other things to discuss, but I will take a pause and pray. Let me just say this, guys, that I have been hearing since a couple of weeks now that there are people in government. So this is how I will say it. And when I say it like this, it doesn't mean I don't know the name of the people that I'm talking about. But this is the best way that I could say it, Ms. McCLEAN. Okay? There are people in government that it's being alleged, people in government who have benefited from, you remember those cars that came in? It has been widely said that those cars that came in, that there are some people in government that are part of that ring, that are bringing.
You mean the cars that were some that came out of England or somewhere? That those.
Yes, that had
Mm-hmm.
those luxury vehicles with the firearms in the luxury vehicles.
Oh, okay, got you.
In the luxury vehicles.
Okay, I got you now. Right, good. Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I we've been getting the calls on, and it calls for prayer. It's called for prayer. If you're part of a ministry and you're using that ministry to funnel and to support, because there are many government ministries, and you could be working in any part of the ministry. So I'm not singling out any group of people. But you are in your particular ministry and you're funneling money from that and through that for crime. I mean, that is difficult, because when we see that, I mean, we in Barbados, we are trying to fight crime. So it is very disheartening to know that there's a possibility that somebody in government could be using government resources then. Let's put it like that. To finance this firearms business. And what about the family members of people in government, the godsons and the connections in government to government that are bringing in guns and so on in this country? And we have to talk about these things and be real. I cannot come on here and call names. The police call out Mr. Pinder's name, and I can speak of Mr. Pinder because that, you understand? But I can't call out anybody else's names. It's not that I don't know the names. I am saying to us as a people, Barbados, this is a time to seek God. And I'm not, I know when I talk like this, Miss McCLEAN, some of them, they get offended. But, this is what our grandmother taught us, and our great-grandmother and granddad and all of that. And I'm saying we've got to center ourselves back on what is right and what is of integrity, what is honest, what is pure. We have to go back to our foundation. Something is wrong when it can be said by so many different sources that there are people in government that they are basically, using government resources to keep up a life of crime, bringing in the same guns that the government is trying to get off the street. What are we talking about here? We sat here and we heard about the luxury vehicles. Is it true that there are people in government that are driving some of those vehicles? We need to find out these things from the police commissioner. How come we have not heard anything else about the luxury vehicles? I probably have missed something, and I'm saying that genuinely. I might have missed something, but I did not see anything else come out, any other publication, any reports, anybody getting to the bottom of these luxury vehicles that came in. This racket of luxury vehicles. What about the tiles that had the drugs in it? Whose tiles are they? They're only a handful. I mean, to be able to export, to import, right? That amount of tiles. It's only a small number of tiling companies. Because I did some research on it. I haven't had a chance to present it as yet. That would be able to bring in that amount then. Because you have lots of tiling companies, but that amount. And I'm saying to the police, we want to be able to help, but we want to know that the police is not in on these things as well. Why haven't we heard about the tiles? Why did we have to hear it from Canada Interpol? Why did we have to hear it from overseas that there were tiles with drugs in it coming to Barbados? How come those things can't be found out by the people here? And what has happened to it? Do we have government people involved in that? What has happened to the vehicles? And I'm sincerely wondering, this is to the police as well and those in government. I say to Barbados, we're in a very serious crisis right now.
I am just here checking. Somebody sent me a note that somebody got shot in Freehill, which is close to the area that I grew up with. I am, this carnage continues. It's talking of MARCIA, but talking about the port though. And it's tangential, but to me it's important because I could not believe the idiocy of a young person who looked to be wearing a customs uniform. And they were looking at you talk about high-end vehicles, and the person was describing that vehicle in the most abusive way. They were using a lot of expletives, etc., and so on. And then there was another clip with what I believe would have been that or similar, the one that they were looking at, employees driving the vehicle around the port or in the port. And I'm asking myself, where has this country gone wrong? That a simple appreciation of right and wrong does not exist? What? But you see, all of these, as I said, these things are not separated. They're all connected. People are looking on and essentially coming to a very erroneous conclusion that anything goes.
Yes.
Too many people rather, seem not to have a proper sense of how, when, and where.
Yes.
I remember one year having to speak to a class of final year students at the university. And one of these days I would share the details of that. And I started by telling them I was going to stop the class 5 minutes early. And then I wrote on the board when I started how, when, and where. Because to me, in that situation, these are young people who, as I told them, were the creme de la creme of the Caribbean's young students, academics and people of that age cohort. And they don't know right from wrong. They don't know what makes sense and what is nonsense. What is happening?
Yes.
And worse yet, I mean, I presume something like this might have happened. I don't know. But worse yet, they're videotaping it and sharing it. I don't know.
It's a serious situation. As I'm sitting here, things are still, Miss McCLEAN, I'm going to share some of these when I get off of here with you. But this is very serious. If you're going to have your family members, and you are giving them your personal firearm and giving them your plates, you know what these family members are going to do and telling them the police won't stop you because they're going to think it's me.
Wow.
And Barbadians, I tell you tonight, pray, please.
Oh boy.
Listen, we are in a very serious situation in terms of corruption in this country. The intertwining of government and crime. People in government, police. I am a big fan of the police and I advocate on behalf of the police. But police, let me say something to you. We are depending on you. We know you're not paid well. We understand that, and that's why we're advocating for you, police. All the District C, District F, all of you. All the different districts. We're asking you, young men, adult men, police men, police women, whatever you call police. Can we have some integrity, please? Our safety depends on it. Do not harbor these government officials. Do not harbor them. Do not be afraid of them. Some of you, I know you're afraid of them. The police themselves are afraid of some of these people in government. Those of you who know how to pray, please pray. This is a time of great reckoning for Barbados. Those of you who are listening, you know how to pray, pray. If you don't want to pray, don't pray. But those of you who know how to pray, pray for the country, no?
And Marcia, we're not saying to people to pray and just not do anything else. I think that many of us know the power of prayer. If among other things, we pray to be fortified to go ahead and do the things coming on this program, Marcia, to talk about these things. Some people will say that we are bold, but we have to be fearless. You remember my first comment to you this morning?
Yes.
And I can say it to the public, and I would say, Marcia, I'm concerned for you when you deal with these issues. And her response to me is, I have to do it.
Yes, I told you that.
And once you told me that, my response, I didn't say to you, you won't do it by yourself.
Well, I didn't even know you said that. I told Dave, let me hurry.
I didn't tell you. I thought it. I didn't say to you.
But Miss McCLEAN, I have to. If I don't do it, you told me, you said to me, Marcia, you probably no. And I quickly said, I have to do it. I'm going to call a lawyer. I'm going to have a conversation. I told you that. And I'm going to do it. And from the time we sat there, I spoke to you today, I sat down in this chair for hours researching, praying and researching. And asking, Father, help me. Sending it back and forth. Check this for me. Check this. Researching. And my heart, Barbadians, my heart hurt me when I saw what is happening. Let me tell you, when we come and we sit in front of here, I can't call the names. I can call what the police is calling. The names the police calling. It doesn't mean that I don't have the names.
Let me say, Marcia, to the public, there are so many people who will stop Marcia, stop myself. I'm sure they do it to other people. And they burden themselves on us because they have recognized that there's some people who are willing to take the time to share with Barbadians the things that are affecting us. Because for many of us, I've been around a long time. I have seen this country go through some tumultuous changes. I've seen positive changes, but I can say that in the last 20, 25 years, I have become very concerned about the Barbados that we have become. And there are a lot of issues that concern us. I mean, Marcia has other issues she wants to touch on today, but I will say this before you get in. I am very concerned that the average Barbadian is expressing to persons like myself a serious sense of marginalization, of being cut off from the good things that can be had in this country.
Yes. And Miss McCLEAN, we're going to get to it, right? But I want us to have the prayer. I don't know if that's the thing that we talk about you're getting to.
Yes. So that's all I was going to say. You go ahead.
I'm going to close off this session because my phone is going here. I'm going to close off some of the things you're sending me, guys. I can't, I have to research them before I can say it. And I am being told by a very good source of mine here, though remember I was asking about the video, and the video that we showed here, it is saying that it was put up a day ago. I don't know if it was a day ago by the person who put it up or a day ago by Bounty, because that would be quite interesting. So I will verify that for you tomorrow and let you know, is it a day ago by the Shade Room that put it up a day ago, or it was a day ago by Bounty? I don't know. So I have been trying from morning to find out. Okay. So when I do, I will let you know. But let me say, and I want to say, Miss McCLEAN, you're on here, and I don't want to be a hypocrite, because one of the things, you know, as I said, that we are watching, I know for myself, Miss McCLEAN, I'm watching all parties. Any sign of it, I am coming on here, whether you're B, D, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. I'm going to come on here and I'm going to shout out. I am telling you now, I will. All of you candidates, all of you, because if you are doing it as a candidate, you will do it if you get into power. And I'm telling you now, I don't care if you got, if I talked to you before, you think you're my friend, me done. There's a mash up. I am telling you now. Miss McCLEAN, I am.
I know you well, Marcia. So when you say that, I know you.
Yes, and if I find anything, I am coming on here with it. I promise you I will, because we must stomp it out at all levels by the grace of Almighty God. Let us pray. You put a prayer in, Miss McCLEAN, and I'm getting the prayer. It was in our panel chat, and I am going to read that prayer now. Oh, where's the prayer, Miss McCLEAN? You put in a prayer. Somebody sent me that prayer early this morning.
You mean that I put in the chat, right? Almighty God, you are the Father of truth. That one.
Yes. You want to pray it, Miss McCLEAN? Want to read the prayer?
I can read it. It was sent to me.
Yes,
Almighty
guys. Miss McCLEAN is going to read this prayer as a prayer, and I want to ask everybody: could we just pray for Barbados right now? We don't know who sent the prayer, but people have been sending this prayer around for Barbados. Okay, go ahead, Miss McCLEAN.
Almighty God, you are the Lord of truth, the judge of all nations, and the defender of the oppressed. We bring before you our beloved Barbados. You have blessed us with freedom, dignity, and a heritage of courage. But too often, Lord, silence has allowed injustice to flourish. Too often, fear has given strength to corruption. Today we ask, awaken your people. Clothe us with boldness to stand for truth and justice. Let no voice be silenced by fear, but embolden the people of Barbados to speak out against oppression, to resist dishonesty, and to call for righteousness in high places. May the farmers in the field, the teachers in the classroom, the workers in the offices, and the youth on the streets lift up one voice declaring, we will not accept corruption, We will not bow to injustice. We will not be ruled by deceit. O Lord, strengthen us to make our voices heard in the press, in the media, in every forum and gathering. Let courage rise in town halls, churches, and homes. May truth echo across this land until it cannot be ignored. Barbados has pledged to be firm, to stand for justice. Lord, make us true to that pledge. Bind us together in unity that no government may trample the will of the people and no leader may oppress without being held to account. Let this island be known as a nation where the righteous are bold, where the people stand together for what is right, and where God is forever our guide. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. Well, we're gonna switch gears. I don't want you to leave because sometimes these kinds of things you want to, this is what you want to come on and you want to hear about. But we have a very, very important issue, Miss McCLEAN, that I want everybody stay on, please, and share the link. This is so important to us. All right, because this has to do with all of it has to do with us as fellow Barbadians. But this, we're talking here, Miss McCLEAN, and I'm looking for the article because we were so caught up with this aspect of it in making sure that I have everything right. That, oh my goodness, I had this. Can somebody help me to find the article? I had it here, and I think I know I have it, but because I'm under pressure looking for it, I'm not putting my hands on it. But if you can help me find the article that states that the fire service went to Swan Street and they had some report saying that they believe that the vendors on Swan Street, they are creating a fire hazard. I read that article last night. Somebody sent me the article, and I'm asking the person to just resend it because I was so caught up with this today and I've misplaced it. Oh, Dave, you have it? Oh, bless you. Thank you. Thank you. I probably sent it to him. Thank you so much. It says here, Miss McCLEAN, and this too we need to be praying about. And Miss McCLEAN is on here to keep me calm tonight. Because when it comes on to Barbadians who are on the, low income individuals, I hate injustice. Now, Swan Street vendors share views on the Barbados fire service recent assessment. Vendors in Swan Street are making their views known on a recent assessment by the Barbados Fire Service chief about the hazard they are causing in Bridgetown. Chief Errol Maynard conducted a walkthrough of Bridgetown earlier this week, accompanied by representatives of the Barbados Association of Retailers, Vendors, and Entrepreneurs. Right? And Dave, you could go up. There's a reporter, Akeem Clinkett has the story. Can you click on it for me, please, Dave? Thank you. Okay, there is some challenge there, but I will just go ahead while we're getting it organized. Yes, okay, it's ready.
Vendors in Swan Street were set up from early to carry about their day. The fire chief, Errol Maynard, had a walkthrough earlier this week where he reported his concerns about access to Swan Street with so many vendors on the street. The vendors, however, have a different view. One vendor, who gave his name as Javi, believes that all the vendors on the street will be cooperative if needed, but he doesn't think they should have to move.
I could tell you personally that we just sell out here, and if a fire truck was scanning through there, we can move these things so fast the fire truck can get through. You know what I tell you, brother? I could tell you that from personal experience. Anything happen out here, we support, we can look out, and we're going to be here. So allow the hustlers called tourists like to see it, brother.
Another vendor, Jason Trotman, says if the vendors are moved, they will not only change the culture of the street, but it will impact the economy.
As you movie, part we gonna sell, and if you movie, here gonna end up like Broad Street, day. And we supposed to keep town alive round right now. Swan Street is the most busiest street in town. Tourists, everybody's pass through here, and ain't no way to put me real thing. And there's one put me, part me and one get put. And when the put me somewhere, the people that's walk along the road don't come and buy anything from you, don't come and look for you. Real thing.
Now, in an exclusive interview with Deputy Fire Chief Henderson Patrick, he spoke to some of the issues that the fire service encounters, which are not only in Bridgetown, but in surrounding areas.
What will impact response is the area where the incident is located, whether we have good access. And by good access, I mean there's some areas, especially within the city area, where persons doing indiscriminate parking. And quite recently, one of my officers reported that they had to park the vehicle a ways off from the incident and extended a number of holes because they could not get directly to the incident as a result of indiscriminate parking. We have experienced that certainly within the Westbury area.
For the meanwhile, vendors will continue to operate in Bridgetown. Akeem Klinkett, CBC News.
I love it. I'm listening to that, Miss McCLEAN, how he's singing. He's singing he's talking about what he's selling and he's singing. And I tell you, that's what my grandmother used to do. And I used to go to the market with her. I'd done my common entrance and they said pass for a good school, a big school in Kingston. But, on weekends and summer, I was down in the country and I was selling in the market with my grandmother. And she used to make, the stuff, and I put them on my hand clothes, and I'm out in the street, and I was very good at selling the things, And I went on Swan Street, and I don't know how many of you on the show or you would remember Miss McCLEAN. And it's so funny that I interviewed all of the young men that had a stall. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yeah.
Yes. I went through and I was so impressed with these young men. They had their stalls. They were selling either jewelry. They're selling drinks. I'm not going to say drinks, not alcohol, right? And what prompted me, Miss McCLEAN, to do that? And I want people to stay on, please. Don't leave because we finished talking about bounty. This is about you because it's about us Barbadians. Stay on, please. I was passing there one day, busy leaving Abbott's, and these young men said hello to me. And I'm like, who are you? Oh, I don't know you. And they said, yes, they remembered me that I was doing a film up in Britain's Hill. When I was doing a film up there, I was shooting in Britain's Hill, a film. When I say shooting, let me just clarify the camera. I was shooting a film because people will leave here and say all kind of things. And listen, those young men in Britain's Hill, they were determined that every time they see me, I was going to pay them money to be in Britain's Hill. That's one of the guys I was. And they felt that they wanted to, get money from me all the time. And probably one or two times I gave them because they said, if you're filming here, you have to pay us. You have to pay this, you have to pay that. Listen, one day I got so mad, Miss McCLEAN, and I tell them, you're not getting one red cent, and I'm going to take the camera and I'm filming you all. I said, my camera is my weapon, and I'm not paying you any more money. But they remembered me, right? And I said, yes. And they said, yes, you remember. And they remember the whole story. And they said, come and buy a drink from me, man. Because they used to come out every morning. You see them rubbing out the hand middle. You know what's happening, right? They're rubbing and the scissors and all of that. And they just sat down, did anything. But these were three young guys. I believe there were three of them with a big white cooler. And they were selling right there on Swan Street. And they say, you see, we're selling now. Come and buy a drink from me. Of course, I bought a drink for me and a drink for Dave, and we, took it home for him just because I wanted to support them. So here it is. This young man, I was interviewing him on Swan Street. I hope is the audio good for this one, Dave? Try and see. Right, this is the one with the bad audio. Okay, but just keep his picture there. Miss McCLEAN, I went through and I interviewed these young men out there. And do you know that all of them had a name for their business?
Okay.
It did not matter how small the table was. It didn't matter that they didn't have a lot. He had a name for his business. Okay? Every single one of those young men had a name for their business. I was surprised. And some of them told me that they went through the government program and they understand this is their business and they're selling the jewelry, oils, all kinds of things they're selling out there. Right? And I'm saying to myself, you mean to tell me, Miss McCLEAN, here it is, you have young black people, black men. I even saw taxi drivers out there standing up. I was wondering, I said, but what you doing? You drive a taxi, what are you doing on Swan Street? I'm there, he says, well, when they come out of the stores with the bags, I help them with the bags and then ask them if they want a taxi. So he's a businessman. They know the people are on Swan Street. So we go where the people are. I don't understand why, what has possessed these these people that they left their office to go out there to bother those people. Last thing I'll say, because you are the official on this. This is your area. I do know it is possible, yes, that some of them might clog up doors, but I don't see them in front of a door. But I'm not a fire chief. I'm not into that's not my area. But what I'll say before you jump in, Miss McCLEAN, is this. I'm looking for the day when our government says, listen, let's work with you. We're not going to just come and move you. Let's work with you. I spoke with an official from Bahamas and they said to me, our coconut vendors, they used to throw this stuff on the road and they block up the road and all of that. And you know what? He said to me, our government decided to send the Ministry of Culture to find out how many coconut vendors we have. And Miss McCLEAN, what they did is that in Bahamas, and I hope to get him on this program to talk to us. What they did, Miss McCLEAN, is that they invested in the coconut vendors. Right? They put money in there. They put up a big thing to put the trash in. And they decorated their carts. And they made them a tourist attraction and accepted them as part of the culture. I am looking for the day when our government will not see our vendors and those with entrepreneurial skills and abilities as a bother and messing up society, but find a way to facilitate them. That's the calmest I can say because I'm very upset about this. Over to you, Miss McCLEAN.
Marcia, I'm listening to you. I watched the young man there, and a whole set of things came to mind. I was actually about to try to retrieve a message because as we are on the program, I mentioned a shooting in Freehill. I asked my brothers, and one of my brothers responded to tell me that he heard there about three young fellas, three youth, I presume 3 young men involved in whatever way. We'll have to find out later. And I refer to that because my question is, what exactly is happening to our young men? Where are our young men when it comes to employment or creating opportunities for themselves? Part of what we are seeing there, and everybody says they use the word hustle, and they literally have to hustle to survive. Yes. Now, you referred to those young men in Britain Hill when you were filming. I was laughing because I said, Lord, they troubled the wrong person. but at the end of the day, what they were saying to you proudly so is look where we are now. And we are out here trying, as the Bajan said, to make an honest dollar. Yes. Now, I listened very carefully, and I'm going to talk some more about entrepreneurship and small business and self-employment. I listened carefully to the fire official, though. I don't know, we only heard an extract, but he was talking about vehicles parked illegally and the problems that created. He did not speak at least what was captured there was not about Swan Street per se, but as I listened to him and I saw the quote unquote problem, my mind was working to a solution, because at the end of the day, I watched the young man's table. Can you come up with a design that is retractable? So in other words, you hear a fire truck, because at the end of the day, they're more on the sidewalks rather than inside of the street itself. But
yes,
customers and so on, and people, that creates, a lot of traffic. But I started to look at the street and I said, these are guys with jewelry. These are guys with oils and whatever else. The way that they can be displayed could be something which retracts, which also helps them to store the thing, to remove it. I was just imagining, as I looked at that, situations when I would have been in Manhattan. And there's some Sundays where they're like street markets. And people have their wares spread out, but some of the things were collapsible so that they could pack up at the end of the day pretty easily. And so I am thinking, why can't we come up with a design that helps these young men in a situation? Because you hear an alarm and clear the road, right? I think Barbadians are still sufficiently law-abiding that they would do that. No,
they will do it. They will do it, Miss McCLEAN. They will do it.
So my question is, if we don't try to find a solution, because as you correctly said, and I think the guy said that was interviewed, Swan Street is where life is. I mean, you can run. Well, I guess it is run themselves. Rats through Broad Street. There's very little that's happening on Broad Street. I mean, I drive through Broad Street and I look. Once a building is shuttered, it deteriorates very quickly. You see all the shuttered buildings, and so there's not the activity. Now, the other thing that they could do is, if they want to reduce some of the traffic on Swan Street, find a way to make Broad Street's rents reasonable, or government can subsidize it. So some of those can be turned into shopping complexes or whatever, but find solutions. Don't just, because the next thing they're going to say, move from here and go where. And the other reality, and this was something I mentioned to you at some when you signaled that you were going to look at Swan Street. In difficult times, people turn to vending.
Yes,
you would notice that there is a significant increase in vending when people are having a hard time finding jobs. What is painful is that in a lot of instances, people are selling items that make it almost impossible for them to make a decent living out of selling what they're selling, but they're just trying their best not to be mendicant and go and beg for handouts and trying to help themselves. But so we're going to clear away all of this. Where are these young people going to go? And a lot of them, as you can see, are young males, because a lot more of their female counterparts are in post-secondary situations, education, or some working, and so on. So I think the question is, there's congestion. How do you address the congestion, the situation, in a way to ease congestion in emergencies? How do you signal early that there's an emergency? Because at the end of the day, I am sure that people would be aware that, as the guy said, he mentioned he didn't give details, but from what he said, there must have been an incident where they had to react and clear the way. So I say to people, find solutions rather than say you gotta go or you're a problem.
Yeah, actually, what I was making mention of, and I know people are trying to call in. Just give us a moment. The two persons who called, I am going to call you back, but we need to just put some information out there on this issue and to present, a balanced thing, because we do understand if it is a fire hazard, then we're not saying it's not congested. What I am saying is, can we work together with the vendors? Can we find, and that's what we're not being irresponsible. We're saying, I'm down there and I see that it's congested, but it's a place that people are selling. It's a reality. It is where people are selling. But the question is, and this is somebody who owns the stores along there? Those stores, I remember Mr. Marshall gave me a history on the stores on Swan Street, and he said it went from Jewish, you can correct me, Miss McCLEAN, from Jewish owners to white Barbadians, and now to Syrians and now Indians. Am I correct in that?
I think, well, that's the mix, and in terms of the sequence, pretty much, I would say yes.
Pretty much. Now,
Uh-huh.
here's a question here. When you go to those stores, to us, it seems like all those stores just have one doors where you enter
Yeah.
and you exit. I'm just wondering, I don't know the back of people's stores. I am saying, are you, this is where I have to ask the questions, Miss McCLEAN. Are you holding the stores themselves at the same standard that you're holding
You remember?
the people on the street?
You remember the campus trend fire?
Yes.
Where part of the concern was that there was no exit, there was just one entrance. And I can tell you that walking in the stores, if you walk from the front of the store to the back, very few of them would probably have multiple, entrances and exits, or an entrance and an exit, which would allow for easy passage in and out should you have an emergency. The other thing, Marcia, I mean, as I watched that, I had nephews who sold on Swan Street, and then they graduated selling in a store and so on. But one of the biggest problems they had, the rents were outrageous. And when I showed them the calculations, I say you will not make money, because when you do an analysis of the person's fixed costs and so on, and how much money you had to make, because if you treat the rent as one fixed cost, the amount that you had to sell to cover the rent, because when you buy something, you have to recover the cost. You have to use that to pay wages, even if it is only yourself. You have to pay the rent. You have to pay if it's a store, utilities or whatever, if it's not covered. And you realize that the owners of the building were fleecing these people, because at the end of the day, the rents were unrealistically high. And so you would get a lot of turnover, because people went in and then they realized, because they didn't have anybody to help them do the analysis, to say, look, this rent, in order to be able to cover the rent alone, you're going to have to sell so much. And remember that before you even cover the rent, you have to recover the cost, the inventory cost, for example. So some basic calculations would show that the people, it was a non-starter for a lot of people, and they just kept getting themselves, my thing is, you have to look and ask yourself, how can we improve this? What are the options? What other options do we give them? And if you say, well, this is a fire hazard and everybody has to move out and go there, because the truth is, people shop because it's convenient.
Yes.
These are pictures of where this is.
This is pictures. I believe this is either when we're in Kenya or in Ghana.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
right.
It looks right. That this is what happens when things are hard. People cannot
vendor. Yes.
And they're going to vend, and so we are going to need to find solutions instead of putting the hammer down. And if you are going to remove those black people, and I'm going into race right now, and I have Victor Young on the line. Victor, very soon I'm going to put you on. But let me tell you this: if you're going to remove those black people that are selling on the road who cannot afford the store, you have got to get all of those stores
compliant.
Fire compliant. Every single store that those Indians own will have to be fire compliant. I am sorry. That's what I'm saying. Let's go to the call. Good night, Victor. Welcome to the MARCIA Week Show.
Good night. I am very serious here because as a former fire officer, okay, you are having people on the sidewalk, blocking up the sidewalk, blocking up the narrow streets in Swan Street, then approaching you as a fire officer with no respect there, that they have the authority to approach you that way. Let me tell you something about my history in the fire service from my years. In my time, there were people who would sit down by any Wilson and sell fruits and all that kind of thing. and I would take a stroll from Provence Street to any Wilson. And when those people see me, they will hustle their bags and their fruit because they understand my style.
Yes.
I
Yes.
also had a time, and I must give this a secret, it's a part of me leaving the fire service. I went into the town to do inspections. When I got to about the fifth inspection, because there were no pre-existing doors and that kind of thing. And when I got to the sixth inspection, the guy told me, I know your boss. I said, sir, that's nothing to do with me. I am doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a fire resistance area here, and I will have to write it up. You know, that guy called my deputy chief, who I would have to report to,
Yes.
and tell him about me. And when I got into the sixth report, the first thing when I talked to him, he asked me, what about this one? I said, sir, my number was 118. He says, 118 young, what about this one? I said, sir, if you cancel this, you will have to cancel the other 5. He says, 118 young, what about this? I said, sir, if you cancel this, you would have to cancel the other 5. But you know what happened? That guy used to kill a pig at Christmas time. So he used to send off a pig leg to my deputy chief. So he thought that the pig leg would have bought me. So when I told my chief what I had to tell him, if you cancel this one, you have to cancel the other 5. That time I was getting $75 a month with a young wife and a daughter. But you know, I would not have got any promotion or anything because I am not feeling the deputy chief. I am doing my job. And I realized what was happening. And by the end of the month, I gave them my resignation. I went off to the university and did my insurance show.
Wow.
And was one of the most successful individuals in the insurance business. And I want to say it again, one of the most successful insurance underwriters in the insurance business. If you go to the nation, you would see every Sunday, you would see the top agents and you would see Victor Young in the middle. Just like how I perform at the senior games, I perform in all my professions.
Yes,
but
sir.
I'm only showing you the integrity.
Yes.
See, my deputy chief was so accustomed maybe to what he accustomed made once you can fill them up at Christmas time, or those days you could kill a pig at home and send a one pig leg to a fella. So he thought that the pig leg would find me. But I was very nice to him.
Yes.
I said, sir, I am doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, before I could get him going, those days you ride the bicycle while you walk. But I prefer to walk.
Yes.
Because seeing that I had a fantastic physique, a neat lace, a big chest, and no belly, I was able to look right in the uniform.
Yes.
So I would take my stroll down very proud, you know what I mean, and do what I had to do. And my dear, people can park on hydrant. If I come and get a car park on the hydrant, I want to know who it is. But what I'm saying to you, a lot of the guys in the fire department and the police force, they cannot do certain things because listen, they transfer me to every station. The only station I never work at was St. John because I wasn't better my gun. But they transfer me to every station to see if they can work me. But I always used to got my cot ready, my saucepan, and so forth. So when I get to the other station, I would cook for myself and that kind of thing.
Yeah. But listen, we could hear you the whole night, but I have another caller. I promise you. You see, when you come back from that senior game, I am coming to look for you with my camera, and you're going to sit down and tell me this whole story about this pig leg, because you have everybody in there dying with laughter. But I have somebody on the line, though.
Okay,
Victor.
you can't let these people push you around. You got to be serious about what you're doing in your profession.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Here, no pig leg. Thank you. Yes. I'm telling you, I am going to visit Victor Young and I am going to bring you the best of stories. But you know, what he said though is how the people respected him. And that's what the gentleman was saying, the person who was selling, because they want to stay on Swan Street. Believe you me, if they work with the people work with them, we can get a solution. But I am also saying that the first thing that, not the first thing, one of the other things that they must do is to make everybody compliant, fire compliant, everybody, the owners of the stores and those who are selling outside the stores, everybody, not just the you know, those black young men with their you know, black entrepreneurs. It's no, we're not on our watch. We're going to talk out about it. Mr. McCLEAN, go ahead. Let me call the other person. Yeah, in the meantime, go ahead.
I can't laugh at Paul Messiah, but I saw a big foot right fire. Anyway, no, but I think you've touched on something, because you know, it brings me to my neighborhood. I have not spoken about it on here, but I see that the failure to enforce rules does not apply equally across the board. I continue to have in my neighborhood a problem with a I don't know what to call it, a chop shop vehicular thing. And it continues. We have complained, we've spoken directly to the owners of the property. Somebody put up there about construction where people are building apartments and they're just one entrance. Those are things that town planning, you're supposed to get approvals before you even start construction, you know?
Yeah, we have a caller here on the line, Mr. McCLEAN. Caller, welcome to the Marcia Week Show. It's a pleasure to have you. What's on your mind?
Yes, good night, Marcia, and to the panel.
Yes.
What I really don't understand is the silence I get on the ground from political operatives, I call them because that's a very generic word to say, is a lot of critical or expose as it relates to the conflict of interest alliances that I find that is being bandied about the place as if it's a photo ops occasion. But if you see that happening, there are different ways. Like silence in the court of law does not mean that you're innocent.
Yes.
There are different ways. There are different ways to get information. If a government is not giving sufficient, because they may say they are, but the key word there is sufficient, conclusive accounting information as it relates to the Public Accounts Committee, and you are seeing conflict of interest alliances that have access to high-powered weaponry and that such like. And then you further see parliamentarian elite, inverted commas, with problematic situations of involvement in stuff as it relates to the same, not necessarily the guns and stuff, but drugs and X and Y and K. So and I can go on almost the whole night. But with all this said, and people are trying to get or gain or get back a country, these are the things that are supposed to be being spoken of and ramped up about, as opposed to a lot of periphery stuff. Put us again to a book being written, as well as the criminologists who for some reason I don't understand how you can have a criminologist and be it intergenerational or interclass expounding on crime is not being done enough. But just bare semantics about things that happen and stuff like that, you know, like, it's almost like sensationalizing the whole aspect of crimes. But that is not sufficient to really put the country back in order. You have to be dissecting trends and speaking to how, you know, what is going on. You know, in other words, there's too much non-speaking of the real important matters, and a lot of speaking on things that are very peripheral, and that is not going to get rid of political gangsterism. I keep saying Elbar in his time could not have got rid of political gangsterism with peripheral talk. agents or people that believe in juicy information, and that is what used to have people on their toes when they listen to Parliament as it relates to dissecting issues of the day. So if Barbados now try to go to a republic, and all of a sudden you go into a republic and you got to be on eggshells, that should be enough Socratic information to show that a country is in democracy to dictatorship convergent mode.
Yes. Wow.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, and it's always. Yeah, go ahead.
No, because you see, I know that I don't have much. I can't hog as the young people say. I can't hog the show, but no, because that's what the young people talk. And there's another thing too. Political operatives got to understand how to code switch. Mia Motley is not the best of speakers, or she's not the worst of speakers. But what she masters and she understands is how to code switch and to make people feel that we in this together, in inverted commas. But that's not the case.
And she's very good at. We have to give that to her. She's very good at that. She's very good at that.
Well, no, she's good at that because the people that can't see and can't dissect.
But I mean, you have to give her something. I think she's good at that. But anyway, that's my opinion. Keep going.
True. But mine too. She's good at it. That is why Beth in the position that we are in. Because she's good at it. Maybe I should leave you at that. Maybe we should end on that note. She's good at it. So let the public accounts committee say she's good at it.
She's good at it.
Let the Ministry of Education say she's good at it. Let the Attorney General's office, who was Mr. Royal, what was the name again? Mr. Lane was ably assisted. Let that ministry say she's good at it too. Let the housing ministry, and so you can go down the line, because Miss McCLEAN can help you and she can name them, and then what you can do for the rest of the show, she would name them out and you'll reply, she's good at it. So you can continue that. Right?
Mr. Abraham, you get off of here, Mr. Melita. Thank you for calling. You're too cheeky. But great contribution. Thank you.
She's good at it. Yeah, go on.
God bless you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Guys, we thank you so much, callers. It's always a pleasure to have you when you call. The line is open, and someone said to me, Marcia, you'll have to let the people talk tonight. And we're supposed to have Sean Carter, who is the president of B.A.C.A, on tonight to discuss about Ronnie Clark, about the announcer, and also about Ronnie Clark. But I haven't seen him as yet. I think he's having some challenges. But what I would say is if we can get Dave, I'm going to send you something we could play from B.A.C.A. We'll play that and have a little discussion about it. All right. But in the meantime, Miss, any comments that you wanted to make on the Swan Street or on any of the other issues?
No, I want to go back to the whole issue, because you see, we have a way of playing games with serious matters, because I understand the congestion, and I think that's what Mr. Young was saying, that the issue of congestion can be problematic.
Yes.
But you touched on another more complicated issue, and we saw this happen with the campus trends, with that complex where they had that fire and so on. Those young women got trapped in the building. And we just heard about it. What have the officials done to remedy that situation? And it seems as though some people are given a pass when it comes to important matters. And we talk about roadside garages. And I have in my neighborhood, because we have tried as good neighbors to raise it directly with the people. And this is now the third year that they were supposed to move. And I will use this, if you allow me, Marcia, to call on the owner of the land. I've been trying to contact the owner of the land, because there's a lot which is being utilized. I wrote a letter in 2021 to the member of parliament for St. James South and asked her to look in the matter. I have a response, and the response to my issue is thank you. I don't know thank you for what, but nothing has happened. And it seems as though people are allowed to get away with these things depending on who they are. You know, and I would say that in the context of Swan Street, there are two things. One, what we're seeing is symptomatic of a lack of opportunity for some of these young people. Because if they were, you know, we need to go around and find out. You were talking about a poll of Mr. Wickham had. We need to go around and talk to these young people and find out exactly what it is that they want to do. You know, there are too many young men who are experiencing and expressing frustration.
Yes.
And so now to go and say, well, you people need to move off of here. I mean, and do what? Go where? What is the plan? What is the
We have to
plan?
work together. We have to work together with them.
And I would reiterate the point I made. What kind of solutions can we have? You know, there's
we need to do this again, Miss McCLEAN. I think okay, there's a call coming in, but we need to have a show, and you need to come back on. I'm gonna go down to Swan Street, and we need to arrange to have another show, Miss McCLEAN, where we go through and we probably can come up with some suggestions right here, so that we don't, you know, they're not a fire hazard, because you don't want a fire hazard, but also we want to bring call to account the owners, these Indians who own the place there. I'm very serious about that. I'm deliberately I'm making it about ethnicity. I am. So don't write me. I'm doing it deliberately. Okay. But we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to the MARCIA Week Show. How are you?
Blessed good night. I'm pretty okay.
Thank you for calling. Go right ahead.
My concern, though, is wherever there is smoke, we should always be looking for fire. You know, during the COVID,
yes,
there was an incident that happened with an individual that looked a little smoky, because the person seemed to have had access to a particular number. That seemed a little smoky. When we can hear Caswell Franklin saying that criminal elements were invited to the opening of Parliament and his wife could not go, that sounds a little smoky. When we can hear about this person that is wanted, he is now armed and dangerous. This also sounds a little smoky also, because what if this individual has information that you know, what if he's carrying fire, so to speak? What if he's carrying fire? Obviously, they're trying to put out the fire. We don't know. You know, I'm not here to cause any fires or smoke or whatever. But a lot of times, people are being used to maybe bring down other people, and the public could be used also, you know, in trying to get certain things, you know what I mean? But yes. I'm not trying to cause any fires or whatever, but things sound a little smoky. And I think if we open our eyes wide enough, we will be able to brush off some of the smoke that seems to be over our eyes. That's my thing for tonight.
Correct. Thanks. Very interesting. Very deep comment. Thank you, sir. I'm going to ask Dave. Dave, if you check your WhatsApp and you could put up that video on Ronnie, because we did the announcer, we did advertise that, and to the viewers, we had scheduled for the president of B.A.C.A to have joined us tonight by say about 8:45, and that hasn't happened as yet. He messaged and said he was having some challenges and we are not hearing from him. But what we're going to do, we will go, if Miss McCLEAN would oblige, we will go over, if we could go over an extra 10 minutes just to discuss this issue here with the announcer and hear your comments on it and your support for the announcer. And I promise you we will pick this up tomorrow. All right, because I don't want to do it like I false advertised to you. All right, but he just did not make it. Go ahead, Dave. Thank you so much.
Barbados Association of Creatives and Artists press statement for immediate release. B.A.C.A calls for the resolution and transparency in the case of Ronnie the Announcer Clark. The Barbados Association of Creatives and Artists expresses its grave concern over the treatment of our member, Mr. Ronnie Clark, known to the Calypso fraternity and the public as the announcer. Mr. Clark has faithfully served Barbados in two distinct capacities, as a respected program manager at Starcom Network and as the announcer, a celebrated Calypsonian and cultural advocate whose music has enriched the nation's cultural landscape for decades. Today, he remains on paid leave, pending the resolution of a matter that traces back to 2024, a matter that raises troubling questions about freedom of expression, cultural participation, and fairness. A timeline of concern. The genesis of this issue lies in the announcer's 2024 public announcement of the title of his Calypso, National Carol Festival, and his social commentary on the challenges faced by Calypsonians. These Facebook posts were later interpreted by management as inappropriate for someone holding a senior broadcasting position. In addition, the announcer fulfilled the intent of his post and announcement of the release of National Carol Festival on June 27, 2025. In 2025, Mr. Clark appeared on the MARCIA Week show as the Calypsonian, the announcer, to discuss his judging night performance and to share the realities faced by Calypsonians. Management has since interpreted this as an appearance in his capacity as program manager and brought disciplinary charges against him. Despite this, the announcer was allowed to participate in the 2025 National Pick of the Crop Calypso competition. In fact, his participation was recognized by management as one of the reasons his being placed on leave was delayed. This raises the question, in what capacity was he allowed to compete? As the Calypsonian, the announcer, or as program manager, Ronnie Clark? The lack of separation highlights inconsistencies in the handling of this matter. His song, National Carol Festival, went on to place third in the NCF-produced finals, was broadcast live on CBC 100.7 FM, and was widely hailed as one of the most impactful pieces of social commentary of the season. Yet, Starcom banned the song from airplay, only to later air the same finals performance during a commercially sponsored broadcast and in subsequent replays contradicting their own stated reason for the ban. Escalation to the highest level. B.A.C.A first wrote to Starcom's general manager, Mr. Anthony Green, seeking clarification. After receiving no further response, we were compelled to escalate the matter to Ms. Dawn Thomas, Group CEO of OCF, Starcom's parent company, who acknowledged receipt, confirming that the highest level of the organization are aware. Furthermore, this situation also raises troubling questions about leadership. When president of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union is seen to be presiding over actions that amount to censorship of cultural expression, it challenges the very principles of free and fair broadcasting and the region expects from its media leaders. This matter is no longer just an internal employment dispute. It touches on fundamental issues raised. One, freedom of speech. Can a Calypsonian speak on national issues without fear of professional reprisal? Two, cultural expression. Can art continue to hold a mirror up to society without being censored? Three, the right to private pursuits. Can employees freely participate in cultural life without fear of being victimized? A troubling national contradiction. Coming so soon after, Carifesta, where Barbados proudly showcased its creatives on the regional stage. This situation is particularly disheartening. How can we celebrate our culture before the world while seeking to mute one of our most consistent cultural voices at home? This is more than irony. It is a contradiction that undermines the very image of Barbados as a cultural leader. Our call to action. B.A.C.A calls for transparency in the process and decision making surrounding this matter, for dialogue between all relevant parties to seek a resolution that respects the rights of creatives, and for fair treatment of Mr. Clark and, by extension, all cultural practitioners who contribute to national development through the arts. This situation affects not only Mr. Ronnie the Announcer Clark, but every cultural practitioner, broadcaster, and citizen who values freedom of expression. We therefore call on all creatives, cultural practitioners, stakeholders, and citizens to stand with B.A.C.A in solidarity. Use your voices, speak out on social media, write to your representatives, and call for fairness and justice. This is bigger than one man. It's about preserving a Barbados where art is free, where culture thrives, and where no one is punished for speaking truth through sound. B.A.C.A remains steadfast in our commitment to defend the rights of our creative members, to speak out when culture is under threat, and to ensure that the voices of our artists are celebrated and not silenced.
Yes. Well, that's a very powerful statement, Ms. McCLEAN, from Barbados, the Barbados Association of Creatives and Artists. And I will just give way to you to comment, but I think it's very important because the show was mentioned that he was on the show, and anybody remember that I always said that he's on here as the announcer. He came on as a Calypsonian, and that it was announced as the Calypsonian. And when he was coming on, he said, "Marcia, please, I'm appearing as the announcer." And I would always say that, and if somebody says something, I would correct them and say he's the announcer. And so I just want to publicly say that, and you could go back and look up the shows. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my editor to put up the shows that he was on, and that they are also mentioning that he came onto the show. Is that because I don't know there's leprosy on the show? I don't understand why people can't come on the show. The government goes into a tizzy if people comes on the show. They punish them. All these kinds of things. So Ronnie is being punished because he comes put on top of all the other things. Then he comes on the MARCIA show. And it's like that he's going to be punished, further punished because he came on the show. What did he do when he come on the show? He spoke as the announcer. Okay? And as a host, I just want to confirm that is exactly what happened when he came on the show. All right. And I say to you guys, support Ronnie everywhere you see any comments or anything like that. Try to support him on social media. Remember, he can't put anything on Starcom. He's a media house. So all he has is social media. You understand? And the government owns the other one. So all that Ronnie has is us. All he has is God and social media, all of us. So please support Ronnie Clark. Please support the announcer. Okay? Go ahead, Ms. McCLEAN. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I listened and I'm looking at it from my first question is how is it that for multiple years we have heard the announcer, let me speak to him as the Calypsonian, sing. He's been working for an even longer time at VOB, as far as I know, with Starcom, the Starcom company, whatever it is. And so the question is, what has changed this year? What changed to create this problem? Because he's been singing, he sang controversial songs. Well, I mean, that's nature calypso. I mean, calypso is supposed to be quote unquote controversial. You get to hear about national issues, whatever the case may be. And so my question is, have they changed their policy? And if they did change their policy, because I presume whether it is written or inferred, the fact that he was singing while he was a staff member, it has happened multiple times. Now, if they had changed or introduced a policy, that should have been done in time for him to make a decision about singing during for the Calypso season.
Yeah.
You know. So what are the company rules? And that really is
That's a good
is
question,
part of it.
Mr. McCLEAN.
You know, what are the company rules? Because he should know them. And if for example, if something had occurred, I mean, there's a process of warning or whatever. So that is really critical, in addition to what you've mentioned about freedom of speech, etc. I know companies have rules which allow people to do X, Y, and Z, but not A, B, and C, or whatever the case. So I really would like, if there, what are the company rules? What rules has he broken? What rule or rules has he broken? You know, because at the end of the day, I am very concerned, because you see, I will speak to something else that concerns me, and this is reflective of what I'm seeing that is cause for concern. And I remember listening to this program and hearing that while his song was banned on VOB, the finals was carried by VOB, and they carried his song. So banned by whom? Because if it was not worthy of being played, compete in to compete in the competition, we would not have heard it. And so on what basis are you banning it? Interesting enough, if I recall, CBC used to play it all the time.
Yes.
And you would expect the quote unquote radio station might have been one to pull it. So I really would like to, I will ask the question, is the management of VOB being placed under pressure to do certain things? And would this issue be one of them? Yes, Mr. Clark is on leave with pay, and I trust it is full pay. But you know, when you work, you don't want to have an extended holiday when you're not, and you know, when you're supposed to be working, you want to work. Let me put it like that. But you know, I have been following. I listen to the news all the time. I used to, some years ago, when there was something worthwhile, I would read the news, and I had less options, I suppose. I used to read the newspaper from cover to cover, literally, ads and everything. And there are allegations that the media is being pressured not to carry things. And I will give you an example. On the morning of, today is Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, I think it was Wednesday morning. It was the morning one of the mornings when the news broke about what's happening in the schools. And I heard the General Secretary of the Barbados Union of Teachers speak.
Yes.
I think it was the 7:30 news. And I said I could go back and I could actually read the WhatsApp message. I sent a WhatsApp message to some in a couple chats and to a couple individual persons to say that I heard this statement about what was transpiring in the schools. And it was interesting because it was pretty detailed, and it was somewhat different from what we had been hearing before. And I said to the person, somebody, if you can, please capture it for me, because I would have gone to the beach, but I want to hear it. But, and this is my but I suspect we will not hear it a second time because of the nature of the comments that he made. So said, so done. And it makes me ask the question, why would an independent station pull a story? But in the next, and it so happened that when I got to the beach, I was there in time. I didn't leave my car before 8:30.
Yes.
Reference was made in the promotion of the news to what was said, but they didn't play it again. And my question is, did somebody get a call to say, pull that item? What we had instead carried by VOB was a story with a comment from Mary Redmond. Now, I presume that the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union has members in some of these schools, because the STU was secondary, what you call the older secondary schools in the past. So as we talk about this mystery, I call it a mystery surrounding Mr. Ronnie Clark, a senior staff member of VOB, are there behind the scenes pressures being brought to bear on the station to deal with this? I would ask the question of management of VOB. What exactly is the issue? What offense has Mr. Clark committed that would have pushed him? Because I would assume that if he had broken a rule, he or somebody else would have come to the public and say, you will no longer hear that sound, or he himself might have come and made an apology to his employers and to the public and say, you know what, I was out of hand playing this. But that didn't happen. It was being played on the publicly owned station. It was allowed to perform. He was allowed to perform with that sound at the finals. It was carried. I didn't listen to the show, but I understand. Let me put it that way, that it was carried the night of the show when VOB carried the finals.
Yes.
Now, if that is the case, what exactly is the situation that you have? Tell us. I mean, we may be missing something. Now, if you tell me that he is on leave related to something totally unrelated, then I would ask the question, what exactly is it? Because we, the listeners, would like to know. But as I will repeat what I said, I am concerned that in looking on at what is happening, in looking at the stories that are being carried, the stories that are being pulled, because this is not the first time that I've heard something and was hoping to hear it again and wondered how come, I didn't hear it. I have to ask myself, why is it that some things are repeated? 6:30 news, 7:30 news, 8:30 news, and others are dropped. And my question is, what was it that was so fundamentally wrong if Mr. Clark's leave relates to his singing that song? Is it the Carol Festival? That's the name of it?
National Carol Festival, yes.
What was the situation? Let us know. We are the people who consume the programs of VOB. We are the ones who make up the numbers that create the opportunity for you to get advertising dollars. So tell us what it is, because if it is unrelated, tell us, and he himself will tell us if that is the case. But it smacks to me, Marcia, of an invisible hand or shadows in the background.
Shadows in the background. But you touch on a very important point there as we're closing, and Hurricane is hinting at it. Let me say something, that if it is that, they said it was because of commercial considerations that they were not playing the song in the first place. And that, Miss McCLEAN, is a fact. I'm not making that up, right? The actual quote, that's
right.
It's commercial considerations. I am saying to Barbados, well, what happens if we stop? If the people say to Starcom, because you have to say something to them. We've got to send a message somewhere.
As the young people say, make it make sense.
Make it make sense, because you need us. You need us to get the advertising dollars. You need us. But at the same time, you have now done this to somebody who we enjoyed, Ronnie, the entire crop over. And you can't prove to us that he did anything defamatory.
Right.
Nobody is suing him. Carol not suing him. She said she didn't mind. In the end, she said she didn't mind.
That's what Calypso is about.
Right. So what is it really? And so I think the public needs to make a demand on Starcom and say, as the Hurricane writer is saying, that, you know what? what, tell us exactly what it is, or we just subtract our listenership. We choose to listen to something else. And because you're talking about commercial consideration. Without us, you don't have no commercial consideration. Without the people of Barbados,
Exactly.
basically. And I mean, I'm not into the playing around with these people. Straight at it, because that's all that they're going to respond to is money. Miss McCLEAN is to say, is it commercial? Because that's why they played the song during the festival. You see, because of the commercial, because of what they were getting, they had to play it. They had to play it in the finals.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Money again. So all they respond to is money. So we need to let them respond to money. I think that is. But this is something that we're going to keep going at throughout the week. And I want to say to Barbados that a lot of these issues, you might say, well, the Swan Street people, I don't have anybody selling on Swan Street. I don't have any nurses working at the geriatric hospital that are being transferred. 60-something-year-old people transferred to take 3 buses because they're punishing the people because they're speaking. You're saying that's not my auntie, that's not my mother, that's not my friend. So it doesn't matter to me, huh?
Not
right now. This is with Ronnie. You said, "Well, I don't really know him. I just know that there." You remember the priest who said they came for this person? You said nothing. They came. They came for. Even they said, even Ronnie, even Carol is saying free Ronnie. This is funny, but she said free Ronnie. But this is a
hashtag free Ronnie.
Free Ronnie. This is a meme. This is right? But I'm saying, Barbadians, let us stand with each other. Let us look out for each other, for the vendors, for Ronnie or the announcer, right? For the nurses, for the police officers who did not get their hazard pay, Miss McCLEAN, the prison officers who did not get their hazard pay, all of them, let us stand up for one another and stop saying, oh, it's them and oh, it's whatever. Okay? Let us stand up for each other. Well, Mr. McCLEAN, I can tell you're ready. You're gone.
No, I am listening. I as you were speaking, what was going through my mind is, I keep talking about slipping and sliding, but I spoke about the Ronnie situation and I referred to the news coverage of the comment of the General Secretary of the Barbados Union of Teachers, because what I am seeing is what appears to be a level of manipulation of the media. Because to my mind, it makes absolutely no journalistic sense or any kind of sense that you have an issue which involves workers. Workers are represented by a trade union. In this case, you have 2 teachers' unions. The Barbados Union of Teachers, which traditionally has represented the so-called newer secondary school and primary schools. And then you had the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, which represented the teachers of the older secondary schools, which was a little kind of elitist thing as far as I was concerned. But I suppose with a need for membership, my interpretation, the BSTU expanded it. But how is it that you are not carrying the positions of the what I expect is the larger representative body, the one representing more workers, and you're going to reach out to the other union, and when you having listened to the 2 positions, they are miles apart as far as I'm concerned. And worse yet, you have a situation where the chief education officer was challenging the position and the statements of the BUT, but you're not letting us hear what was said, and so it is almost as though somewhere in the background, the organizations either feel self-imposed pressure to not carry things that appear to be negative as far as the government is concerned, or that there's pressure being, my other interpretation is that there's pressure being exerted otherwise, because something is not adding up.
Yeah.
And it applies in terms of we ask the questions about Mr. Clark or the announcer, depending on whether we're talking about the Calypsonian or the employee of Starcom Group. And they're all cause for worry for me, certainly. Let me know if the facts are there and the facts stand up to scrutiny, then we go away with the facts. You know?
Yes. As you said, what are the rules and all of that? Let us know what it is, right? Ms. McCLEAN, it's a night well spent. It is 10:16, 10:19, and these people have been saying they want extra time every night. And listen, you know how hard it is. I have not slept a wink for the day, just up, researching. So, you know, we can't go anymore. We're tired. We can't go anymore. Guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for your prayers. We need your prayers. We need your support, okay? And as we go tonight, I pray God's blessing over every family tonight in Barbados. I really am serious about that.
Yeah.
That we will all be safe. I heard that there were 3 that were shot in St. John last night, and
3 in Freehill tonight. These 3 young men are youth involved in some shooting in Freehill, Black Rock tonight.
Freehill, Black Rock, 3 in St. John. Somebody got shut off and all of that. I'm still doing more research, and hopefully by God's grace, I'll be able to bring it to you. There was one correction before I go that Mr. Murray sent, and I want to make sure that I give that correction because we want to, make sure that we always say the right things on here. He's suggesting that the pictures of persons with the invitation was at the state opening of Parliament and not the PM swearing in. It was the state opening of Parliament.
Yes.
That's true to you, Ms. McCLEAN?
Yeah, the opening of Parliament. Yes.
We're making
if you look, you can see the green rod gates of Parliament. They've had some tents added, but that's part of
Yes, actually, we did say it was Parliament, but what we were calling it the wrong name. We were saying is it PM swearing in.
But that was the state opening.
Of Parliament. Okay, so we want to make that correction, guys. Tomorrow, Mrs. Rose Corbin is going to join us, and she has a whole thing planned for us on education. And Dr. Ferdinand is going to host. We don't know what else is going to come on. If I'm going to need to jump back on and continue with this story. But there's so much coming to my phone. I have to research it before I come on here to you. So then you will get to know if we have anything else to say tomorrow night. Okay. But and Mr. Murray is going to be on tomorrow. Glenn Murray will be on tomorrow. Rose Corbin will be on tomorrow with our host, Dr. Ferdinand. At least we know that much. That is going to happen tomorrow. Okay. God bless you all. Ms. McCLEAN, thank you for being a trooper and for being there.
Important issues.
Today. I appreciate it very much.
These are important issues, and Barbadians need to take what we are saying very seriously and do some serious introspection individually and collectively.
As a nation. Dave, thank you for the support and for being that right hand there for us, showing us all the videos and pictures and everything to make the message clear. Thanks to everybody who joined tonight. And by God's grace, we will see you tomorrow. Keep all of us in your prayers tonight. God bless you. Love you all.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
I write a tune about corruption and greed. A minister shaking down people in need. Next thing you know, my song get blocked. Say it too hot, might cause a shock. They tell me hush, go change the line, or face defamation, you cross the line. Now before I sing about truth or wrong, I need a lawyer to vet my song. Vet my verse, check every rhyme. It's like singing now become a crime. Say the truth but don't name. Else you're blacklisted from the fame. Radio say we can't play that, but the jamming soca about gun and bat. So who running the station show? Only the PM know. My partner sing one about tax and bribe. Next day he gone, cancel he tribe. They say it's slander and liable talk. Now the poor fella frightened to walk, but dance all blasting every night, singing about murder and gunfight. Yet high so man must mind his tongue, like with a problem all along. Let me verse, check every rhyme. It's like singing now become a crime. Say the truth but don't name. Else you're blacklisted from the fame. Radio say we can't play that, but the jamming soca about gun and bat. So who running the station show? Only the PM know. The culture roots lie in we voice to talk the things and make real noise. But now them say tone it, don't be sweet, while injustice dance in the people's street. The pen might tear down, so they say, but they want to dull it every day. Freedom of speech, more like a loan that they pull back once truth get known. They tell me no Calypsonians must learn. Before you sing, go get legal concern. Line by line, draft by draft, watch lawyers edit out the craft. You can't call name, you can't say crook. Better you write a nursery book, but satire dead if we can mock. It's like the watchdog Lucy back. Let me verse, check every rhyme. It's like singing now become a crime. Say the truth but don't name. Else you're blacklisted from the fame. Radio say we can't play that, but they jamming soca about gun and bat. So running the station show, only the players back. So let we rise and defend the art. Censorship tearing the soul apart. If Calypso lose its sting and bite, who go shine the people plight? Not every song is meant for fet. Some just wake you up when things get wet. So I go sing low till my breath done, cause truth in rhythm can't be outrun. Let me verse, check every rhyme. It's like singing now become a crime. Say the truth but don't name. Else you're blacklisted from the fame. Radio say we can't play that, but they jamming soca but gun and bat. So who running the station show? Only the PM know.
Wow, I love this song, Miss McCLEAN. You love it? Good night, everybody. Good night.